Okay, let's see if this thing is working. Mhm. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay. I need to test. Let's see if the chat is working. Am I on? Yeah. Okay, so Instagram now says I have to add a streaming key. Yeah, is that done? Yeah. Let me see. Am I live right now? Nope. Okay. That says I'm right there. Switch accounts. Let's see. If fire rising. Yeah, it shows that I'm right there too. Now, okay, Rohan over. I will do. That's great. All right, let's wait for Gavin to come. And then we will add Instagram. La, 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 la. Hey everyone, so I am live apparently. So today we're going to talk to my yoga instructor. Well, not instructor, he's an entrepreneur. He owns his own yoga studio. Um, and we're going to talk about his journey. As you know, this is the Business Matters channel. However, we are incorporating it now with the breathalyzer girl, as you can see by the name. Reason being, with these interviews, we're going to have a drink and use a breathalyzer just to see where we are and how it affects our bodies differently. My camera is kind of set up differently. So when I'm actually looking at the screen, I'm looking down here. So it looks like as if I'm looking down, but I'm not. I'm actually paying attention to you guys. So, right. So now, since we started this Business Matters channel in, when did we start it? June 8th? Yeah, we did. Started on June 8th. And we have a lot of Canadian and American fans, especially on TikTok, right? And on Instagram. So, since I'm putting the effort in the Business Matters channel, I have to tie in my actual brand into it as well. It makes sense. So, even though we're going to be doing books still every Sunday, when we do have interviews, we're going to be using our breathalyzer and having a drink and showing the difference between my brack and our guest's brack, right? That's what we're going to be doing. So we're supposed to start at 6:30. I'm here early because that's just the way to be. And I wanted to make sure that everything is working properly, the light, everything. I'm actually still in the same room that was very dark the last time. I just it's evening time now. It's not in the middle of in the morning. And I kind of moved the table. So here we are. So waiting for Gavin to come on and we can start. And I'm going to start it on Instagram as well. So Instagram says, okay, I see that. And now we're going to go live. Let me go live on Instagram for it to work. Okay, so now I'm seeing Instagram. Okay, this is cool. Now I'm seeing the chat for Instagram. That's very cool. So does that mean that I'm live on Instagram as well right now? Let's see. And TikTok, I'm going to have to post this separately for the Blue Fire Writing channel because right now only the TikTok, not your child corp channel is working for streaming for some reason. TikTok is hit and miss, right? So let's see. Does it show that I am live? Should be. In a couple seconds it will show, apparently. Okay, so let me put the chat link in the chat. Okay, great. Hi there, accelerator. Yeah, so today we're going to be using, hi, the accelerator. Today we're going to be interviewing entrepreneur Mr. Gavin Dobias, and we're going to be using a breathalyzer together just to show the difference, right? So we're going to have a chat and a breathalyzer. So glad that you could join us. Um, where it is here. He's coming. He's coming on now. So soon you'll be able to see him. So press the link to call in. Instagram people, hi. So we're gonna start. We're starting now with Gavin. Let's see. I don't think he probably is a little bit confused. Let me call him. He's having some technical difficulties, so he'll be on soon enough. Yeah. So as I was saying, I am going to be having a drink with Gavin, and we're going to be seeing where we are breathalyzer wise. But we're going to be talking to him about his journey as an entrepreneur for our business matters channel. Yes, you have to give permission to your mic and video. Yeah, guys. So he's coming on. Just bear with us. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Let's see what's going on over at. Now he's trying another browser. Gavin, I don't know if you're doing you. All you have to do is just give permission to your um, video and mic. That's all you have to do. One second, guys. She's trying to fix it to try to get on. Okay, when you click on the link that I said that's in the chat, what do you see? Okay, right. Setting the stage for you, accessing your camera, right? So give it access to the camera. Like click allow in the browser pop. I don't know what that is. Hold on. Click on that arrow beside your camera. What does it say? Yeah, what does that say? Nothing? Okay, so you only have one camera. No, keep the camera on. Click allow in the browser pop-up. I don't know. Where's the browser pop-up? It didn't come up? That's weird. Hang on, guys. He's trying to get on. We're having some technical difficulties. Hi, Black Bear Lover. Hi, Realtor Sheldon. So glad you guys could join us. Apologies for the lateness. I'm waiting for my guests. He's having a little bit of problems getting on with the stream. But we're gonna have a really great chat today. It's gonna be a really great chat. And we're gonna, of course, use a breathalyzer. A breathalyzer. Together, we're gonna see the difference between how his body takes his drink and how my body takes my drink. Um, Especially with what we ate today and how rested we are, etc. But he's just trying to get on. So I'm glad you guys are here with me today. Thank you so much. Is it working now? Right, but that's if you are going live though, isn't it? He's trying to get on, guys. In the meantime, how are you guys doing on Instagram and on TikTok? Hi, Mark Marsh. Yeah, so I was just explaining that today we have a really great interview with business owner Gavin Dobias, and we're gonna have a drink together and use a breathalyzer. Thanks for joining us. I know you guys have been loving the hi Sabrina. I know you guys have been loving the business books that we've been covering. So we're going to return to the business books not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. This Sunday we actually have a musician joining us, and we're going to have a drink and use a breathalyzer as well. So right now we're just waiting for Gavin to come on. And I thank you guys for your patience. Hi, Dan Henho. Really glad to see you guys. Okay, I'm not seeing you come up, Gavin. Let me see if I can actually. Um, hmm. Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, I did add him, Mike. I added him. Like I give the chat link here. He's coming through on YouTube. So I did give the link for him to come on. Found it. Thanks, Mike. Hi, Hapsley. So hi, Taz. Hi, Dorothy. I know you guys have been loving the business books that we've been doing every week, and I get the emails and the texts from you guys. So kudos, thank you. So today it's still business matters, but I'm incorporating my own business in it as well, which is Not Your Child Corp. We're normalizing the use of breathalyzers in society as smart, proactive safety tools. So why have a business matters channel and not incorporate my own business? Makes sense. And since we're going to be interviewing these business owners so that we can share that exposure with people who want to start their own businesses, right? And especially the type of businesses that we are going to be exposing you to. Since people want to start their own businesses, why not have a chat and a breathalyzer as well so we can see how the breathalyzer works and we can help to normalize it. So we're tying it all in, and that's why the name has changed to the breath Miss, which is my two nicknames, Miss Bluefire. That's since I was a little kid, and the breathalyzer girl, which is recent since 2014 when I started the breathalyzer business that I'm in right now. So yeah, so we're tying it all together, and I am keeping you entertained in the meantime while this is going on. It still says waiting for permission. Okay, why don't you just try from your phone then? Try from it's okay, Gavin. Take your time. Remember, deep breath. Remember yoga practice. It's all good. Just breathe through it. All good. Hi, Joel. Yeah, he's coming on soon, Mike. I'm Black Bear Lover. He's coming on soon. Okay, from your phone, you if you come into the chat where I am on the YouTube, you will see the link. Press that link. and see if you can join. And then it's going to ask you on permission from your phone too, again, for the camera and for the, pardon? Yeah, go to live chat. You will see it. If you're on YouTube, you're on the YouTube on my channel, right? Right. So go into live chat and then you'll see. Yeah, sorry guys. Are you trying on your computer again, or are you trying with your phone? That's weird. Maybe sign out and sign back in. Like come off YouTube, then go back in YouTube and try again. That's weird. Well, guys, we just have to roll with the punches. He's still trying to get on. So let's just give him some grace. It's the first time he's doing it, so he thought that he'd be able to do it easier than this, but yeah, it's just his computer. Okay. Hi, Fatima. Yeah, a restream doesn't show the likes for some reason, but you know, I hear that it can hurt the algorithm, but what to do? I'm just trying for another month, and then if not, I'll just do StreamYard if it's not working out with that. So yeah, we're starting a little bit late today. I think I'm gonna have to, when we start, Gavin, I'm gonna have to start over Instagram because Instagram only goes live for 1 hour. Yeah, well, let's see if this works now for you. Hi, Mom. We're trying to get on. We're still waiting for a guest to get on. So apologies for the late start. He's just having some difficulties with his computer getting on, but we're gonna get there. Thanks for joining. Hi, Miranda. Yeah, we're waiting to start. We're waiting for our guest to get on. He's having problems coming on. We're good? Okay, I don't see you coming up. Oh, there you are. There you are.
So sorry.
Finally, my God.
That's sorry. I'm gonna close this other conversation we're having.
Yeah, you gotta turn your phone off because nobody's gonna
Sorry,
give me a
it's off.
feedback.
That's what
Oh,
happens when you turn 40. You lose the ability to do anything tech related. Apparently,
right?
it's
That's
not my
okay.
first day with a computer. I promise.
Yeah. So, that's okay. We thought that it would be easier. That happens, right? What are you doing now? You look distracted. Are you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Are we good now?
I'm hearing you now. Like, what are
There's
you
such a
hearing?
delay. It's really frustrating me.
What? I can
Hold
hear
on.
you. Can you hear me?
Never mind.
Wait, can you hear me?
Okay, I think I'm good. It was the other YouTube video playing on another window, creating an echo. I thought it was me. I'm good now.
Can you
So
hear me
sorry.
now?
Yeah, I need to have a drink. Is it time?
After all of that, no, that was
Yeah.
definitely a test in presence. That was a test for us
Oh yeah. No,
with
that's
our
why I
metric.
said maybe we should get on earlier, which you did say we should do. But
We
then I was
did.
like cooking dinner and stuff and lost track of time. I'm like, oh my god, I
Yeah,
have
that's
to go on
okay.
now. Anyway,
All's well that ends well. Hi, up
yeah.
my. A lot of people are joining from Instagram. Okay, so what I was explaining to them. So I have this business matters channel on YouTube, right? Where we go
Hmm.
over the business books every week to expose business ideas, etc., and interview entrepreneurs. The thing is, I was talking to my mentor. She said, Julia, since you're putting so much effort in this channel, cross pollinate it with your channel, with your entrepreneur, um, your business. So some of the interviews, sorry, sometimes we do books and we just go through the books. But whenever we do interviews with entrepreneurs, we're going to use a breathalyzer so we can tie in my business as well as your business, right? So today we welcome Gavin, owner of Kinetic Synergy, a beautiful yoga studio, right? That
If any of my clients see this, they will laugh because I'm often late for like everything in life. So it's just fitting.
you're awfully late for everything and that's what you
Often
said?
late, yeah. Yeah, I really try, but like it's
Really?
inherited. My mom was always late for things, so I come by it honestly.
You gotta break the curse, Gavin. You gotta
Yeah,
break the curse.
yeah.
Me, I'm always early because I have a little bit of OCD. So like, and if I'm 10 minutes early, that means I'm on time. If I'm on time, I feel like I'm late.
That's a good way. Yeah, it's a much
Right?
better way to operate.
Yeah. So that means that you would not make a very good travel partner then, because you have me freaking out.
I
All
am
right. So
getting better with old age, but like I said, like today, I don't know. Not good with tech apparently.
that's all right, buddy. All right. So today, Gavin Dobias, passionate force behind Kinetic Synergy, a beautifully maintained fitness yoga studio in Welland, Ontario. Gavin is a Brock University graduate with a BPhD. Gavin's credentials include being a holistic life coach, an exercise coach, a metabolic typing advisor, an FDN practitioner, and an ELDOA practitioner. We're going to get into all of that because we want you to tell us all about that. But from his earliest days, Gavin has been driven by a powerful mission to educate, to motivate, and to empower individuals to become the very best versions of themselves, and to demonstrate how functional fitness and mindful movement can transform lives. Now, under Gavin's leadership, Kinetic Synergy has grown into more than just a studio. It's a thriving community that offers group fitness, hot yoga, personal training, youth classes, physiotherapy, cycling, and more. His signature programs like the Best Self 6 week challenge, which I'm going to do, Gavin, actually. I want to do that. And the 30-day kickstart. Yeah, I want to do that. But I have to make sure that I have the 6 weeks so I'm not leaving. And the 30-day kickstart combines accountability, nutrition, coaching, and unlimited class access to deliver real results for all levels. And this is true. I've been in some of his classes before, and they cater to people of all levels, right? Gavin isn't just coaching workouts, he's shaping a culture of empowerment, pushing people to break personal barriers, and cultivating healthier, more vibrant lives in his community. Welcome, Gavin.
Thank you. That was really nice.
So,
Thank you.
no worries. You know what? Let's start first with our drink because we're going to be drinking while we're talking, and then we have to wait 20 minutes to test, right? So tell me what you are drinking.
Well, if anybody is happens to watch from Welland, they'll appreciate the Welland Classic.
Okay,
A
so
beer
that's
lager, OV, Old Vienna. So it's a 5%, 355 milliliter lager.
okay. So that's a standard drink, 5% lager, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
So
standard beer. Yeah.
what I am gonna have, empty glass. I am gonna have a shot of plantation Barbados rum, right? And I'm gonna mix it with ginger ale, Canada Dry. Actually, I'm gonna. That was not like a full shot, so it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. I don't cheat. It wasn't.
I'm glad you take this seriously.
You know, after the struggles, eh? All right. So Canada Dry. Cheers. Stir my little stir stick. All right, Gavin. So tell us now, what did you eat today? What have you had to eat today?
Am I allowed to have a drink yet? We're going to breathalyze first.
No,
right?
you can. No. You can talk and drink right now. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know we wanted to test and confirm that I haven't drank
No,
yet today.
I know you haven't drank today. Cheers, buddy. Cheers. Yeah. What did you eat today?
Today, this morning, I had a coffee with 35% cream. So the drink, but with 35% cream, that counts as almost eating. My wife made protein pancakes. I had 2 of those with butter and maple syrup, which I made myself. Then I had to go into work and actually met with my wife. We went out and ran some errands. So I didn't have time to eat anything. She brought me a protein shake, which was whey protein, collagen, and a scoop of creatine and water. And I had a protein bar which was a Built bar, which is a collagen-based protein bar, and then had another coffee in the afternoon with 35% cream, and I put stevia in there as a sweetener, so it was just
Yeah.
coffee and cream, and then was going to have dinner before this, but was already late, so my dinner will be waiting for me after, which
Oh
will
my
be
goodness, I'm so sorry. I hope you're not hungry
yeah.
because then you're going to be miserable.
No, that's oh no, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not uncommon for me to fast, not necessarily intentionally, but
Right.
maybe from being busy or whatever. And
Yeah.
if I find that like if I'm eating healthy and low carb, which is what I would normally do, but it's not like I stay away from carbs, but and I typically eat higher fat. If I skip a meal, I don't have any issues with getting hangry. But dinner will be steak, homemade beef tallow fries, and broccoli.
Nice. Wow, what a nice
So
wife you have. Bless her. Blessings, Kenny Marshall and Gaza Ricardo. I'm just telling people hi as they come in because there are some of our YouTube supporters, right? So, just for you, Gavin, just stay there, stay
mhm.
there, stay there, stay there. So, we're going to start off in our yoga, in the spirit of yoga. We're going to open this is our throat chakra. Can you hear that? You can't hear it, can you?
I heard the initial hit.
Oh, well, I'm hearing it really nice. Well, you know what? That's okay. I'll just let it vibrate me.
Those are pretty cool, though. I like those.
I
It's a
love
nice.
them. My tuning forks, I love my tuning forks. I love it. And it really does work. Vibration. You know what? I'm tired of telling people about vibration and about the fact that we are 70% water and vibration affects water and your moods, your everything. I'm tired of telling people about it. People actually have to experience it to know it. It's like you can't tell people what sweet tastes like or what sugar tastes like if they haven't experienced it. So I just tell people just experience it for yourself, right?
Well, I read something interesting about that today. It's like
Yeah,
people have no problem accepting that there are like these invisible signals shooting through the air,
right.
sending information to your phone and videos and all of this stuff and communicating. Like that's accepted, but the concept of like these other invisible things like vibration having an impact on your body is like for some reason harder to
It's harder for
accept.
them, right? But at the same time, and then they ignore their own feelings, like they ignore their own, and like you can feel certain things, right? Vibration, energy wise, you can feel when people are off. You can feel when someone isn't right for you. You can feel that. So why don't we get into that more? And you know what was funny? Somebody was trying to insult me the other day, and she goes, "Oh, Julia, you act like you're a tree hugger." It's like,
Hmm.
how is that an insult? I was like, were you really trying to? But I was nice to her, right? Because I realized that for her to be that mean, she really had to be really miserable, and she looked miserable. So I was like, you know what? Your life is punishment enough. In my mind, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, I said to her, and people around her got it. I was like, that was you were trying to insult me by saying that, like hugging a tree. You know how that's not a bad thing. I'm not a tree hugger per se. I don't see trees and just go up to them and hug them. But
No.
that's not an insult, lady.
Yeah, no,
Right?
I wouldn't take that as an insult. And you're right. I mean, throwing something that
Right?
like that at you has got their own issues. One more thing
Right.
on that topic. I don't know if you've heard of this book.
What? Oh yeah, I've read that. The Hidden Messages of Water.
Fantastic book
Fantastic,
for
fantastic book,
anybody who
Gavin.
questions that. Yeah, really cool
Guy,
book.
fantastic, fantastic book. But let's go into what I have been eating and drinking all day. So I've had, and I'm still having my favorite olives, my second favorite beets, and grapes. So beets, high fiber content, grapes, high sugar content. This morning I had a protein shake with collagen in it. I had a protein shake with collagen. Oh yeah, I had grilled salmon and something else, coleslaw. So I had a
Hmm.
protein shake with collagen, grilled salmon and coleslaw, and I've been munching on olives, beets, and grapes. And these grapes are very sweet, high sugar content. So now I'm having the drink with you, Gavin. Okay. So while we go, let's dig into it. Anything you want to say? You wanted to say something?
Well, I was going to say, interesting fact about drinking. So apparently, research on rats shows that if you give them saturated fat with alcohol or prior to, even better, regardless of how much alcohol you give them, you can't do damage to their liver. So a pre-drinking snack or something to have with your meal, if you add something high in saturated fat, like wine and cheese, for example,
Right.
can have a really protective effect if you do decide to have a drink. So
Yeah.
I
It
had salami
does.
too. I forgot about that earlier.
No, no,
I'm not,
it's fine. Yes,
yeah,
salami is great. No, no, it's true because it slows down the absorption, right? It helps. It slows down the
it does.
absorption, and
Yeah,
fiber actually helps too. So basically, you won't be shocking your liver. You won't be shocking your liver, right? Being hydrated helps too. Having slept helps as well too, right? Okay. So introduce Gavin. Gavin, let's talk about your entrepreneurial beginnings while we drink. What inspired you to start Kinetic Synergy? And was there a defining moment that you made to take that leap into entrepreneurship?
well, I've always been somewhat of an entrepreneur. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. So it was never really a question of whether or not I would be doing that in some degree. I After university, I had a business of lawn care and landscaping that I was working that I started myself, along with working at a gym doing personal training and working in a GNC, which is a nutrition store selling supplements. And then from there moving into my own business as a personal trainer. I think it actually started with renting. Actually, I guess it wasn't at the time. You can rent it, but I was just using them, going to parks and having boot camps. Right, so you can rent the park. If you're just going and finding an open space and doing stuff there, I would rent school gymnasiums and have boot camps there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Along with working for a club doing training, and it just sort of continued from there. Eventually I bought a house in my 20s back when they were affordable, and didn't realize how lucky I was. There was an opportunity to get a house with zero down, which is insane.
What? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and so happened to be on like a bit of a busier street in Welland, and decided to start doing training out of my house. So turned my basement into a studio. So I had a bathroom down there. Um, the entire space was entirely set up for a gym. I actually purchased an infrared sauna to down there too for clients to use, because there's a lot of benefit to that too. Hence the yoga studio. There's some story behind the yoga studio being a hot yoga studio,
Yeah.
and yeah, and kind of like went from there. Now, the thing that kind of took me from there to Kinetic Synergy was actually a client of mine who was also a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, thought about, okay, maybe it's time to start considering moving out of the house. I mean, working from home is amazing, but, it was getting closer to 30, and the idea of, having a family at some point was starting to become more, on the
Yeah.
forefront of my mind. And she just kind of said, like, what are you waiting for? Just go and
Just do it.
do it. So yeah, she kind of gave me the push to do it. In hindsight, opening Kinetic Synergy was probably skipping a step, because going from just managing yourself, working in your basement or going to people's homes and training them is a lot different versus having, a studio where you not only have overhead to manage, but also have people to manage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it became very quickly apparent that there was a skill set I was lacking there in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
like managing other people and expectations around that. Like, you could be good at managing yourself, and have discipline yourself, but by
Right.
no means does that mean that other people will have the same mindset. Like, they may need more direction, and other things in order to help them be successful too. So anyway, yeah,
Exactly.
that was really the catalyst there. Um, Kinetic Synergy,
Okay.
and like, and the other thing too, actually, that kind of got me into that entrepreneurial path with fitness and health and stuff was, um, right when I got out of university, I went out and started looking for a job, and I had a few interviews, and one of them was with a bigger club, and one of
Mm-hmm.
those big box gyms. And I went in for the
Mm-hmm.
interview. I think I got the second interview. I was likely going to get hired, and part of
Mm-hmm.
that was practical, and they asked me to design a program. It's like, how would you work with clients, et cetera, et cetera. And after I told them everything, it's like everything was great, but I think it would be better if you didn't give them quite so much, and really like
Mm-hmm.
almost he almost wanted me to intentionally hold that person back and sort of nerf their progress so that I could keep selling them on more personal training,
Keep selling them. That's
bring them
terrible.
along for longer. And that really left a
That's
bad taste
terrible.
in my mouth. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I took
Yeah.
a position at another club, but that was it for me. I'm like, you know what? I can do this better myself. I don't like this
Yeah.
because for me, like fitness for me was, if I jump back even further, like I was not a super athletic kid. I was not somebody who was naturally fit. Um, it was I was introduced to it through one of my best friends, and
Yeah.
it was life changing. Right, like once you take control of your health and your fitness in that way and have success with that, you recognize how important that
Yeah.
is, and you want to share that with other people. And you know, I would rather give everybody every bit of information and guidance that I have, and in doing so, find another way to make money. Now, I don't want to string people along, and that was
No, I understand that.
help this person get to where they need to be, and if they don't need me anymore, great, we'll move on and help another person. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's kind of how that started, and Kinetic Synergy, what it
Yeah.
is. I don't know if I initially like I had a vision of like a personal training studio and a gym, but it's really been
Yeah.
something that's evolved over time. Like I didn't, other than knowing I wanted to help more people and move out of the basement and have a bigger place. I had certain ideas around that, but I didn't really know how it was going to go. And the whole, really, what it is like Kinetic Synergy is this union of like fitness and yoga, right? So these
Yeah.
movements that are very complementary and really, I think, address all of the important components of fitness together. Um, so I
Right.
had some experience with yoga in my 20s, but really just doing yoga on my own through videos and stuff. Actually, I think the first yoga class that I did was P90X. So I did that program as a trainer. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this looks cool. I'm always trying new things. And I did that. And I'm like, holy cow, like that was a challenging yoga. And I did it regularly. And it had a huge impact on my fitness. And
Yeah.
from there, it was actually my wife, oddly enough, who really introduced me to yoga in the like version that you see it at Kinetic Synergy. Kind of
Right.
a funny story there. And if I'm talking too much, Julia, I told you I tend
No,
to answer questions.
no, it's okay. We have questions to go on now. Just
Cut me
feel
off.
free. Feel free because your journey is important. So continue. Go ahead. If we don't get to all the questions, so be it. Doesn't
Yeah, sorry,
matter.
and I'll look. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it started in it's kind of a funny story. So it started in meeting my wife. So um, we met
Yeah.
online, which at that time 15 years ago
Yeah.
was not as common. And you get a little flack
Right.
from friends and stuff. Like it was a little bit weird. We met on a website
Yeah.
called,
Was it like MySpace? Was it
no, it
MySpace?
was eHarmony. So it wasn't a hookup site, right? This was like
It
a
was
site for people looking for
yeah, yeah.
relationships, right? And
Okay,
the
okay,
reason it
okay.
caught my attention was just like, like we weren't even that far into cell phones at that point 15 years ago, right? Like cell phones, when I finished university in 2005, like there was no, it wasn't really a prevalent thing. Like maybe you had one, but it was nothing like it is today, right? So eHarmony
Right,
intrigued me because it's like, oh, we're going to match you up with people based on shared values and personality and
right.
things like that. I'm like, okay, well, this seems logical. Like maybe I'll meet somebody like super compatible. Because I would say like, I don't know if odd's the word. Maybe I'm not as odd anymore, but like I had sort of like the things I was
Yeah, no, I know what you
like,
mean.
you're being
I know
really
what you
into
mean.
health and
Trust
stuff.
me,
Like
I
you're
know
saying,
what you
somebody
mean.
called you a tree hugger. Like they're
Yeah,
values that like not everybody shares, right? So it
right,
can be a little bit
right.
harder to find somebody who shares those things.
That's true.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, it seemed like a logical thing to do. I signed up, I tried it, and it's kind of funny. And I was just talking to
Right.
somebody about this recently. Like almost
Yeah.
every match that it matched me with was like somebody, a woman who was
Yeah.
into yoga. It was like, because like if you,
That was a sign, Gavin.
right?
Gavin, that was a
I think it
sign.
was.
That was a sign from the
Yeah,
universe.
it was. So I was kind of destined to be there. But and I think probably too because if you have, you know, not to stereotype, but most guys who are into fitness are into like weightlifting, and then you know on average
They're
women
like
are going to
buff,
be
the
more
weight, the meathead type
yeah.
of.
I mean
Mm,
it made sense
yeah.
in hindsight, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, my wife was the one that really stood out. We stood out to each other, and we decided to connect. And actually, we spoke a lot through email before even meeting, which was really interesting. So I got to know her really well. And part of the
Well,
reason,
to do
yeah,
email.
like part of the reason for that was that she actually lived um, about 4 hours away from me. So she was living near Kingston at the time, and so it
Okay.
wasn't like it's a really unique scenario where like I couldn't just okay, let's go on a date. Like we could, but like that's a long trip.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to plan that. And I had other things going on at the time. Oddly enough, and this ties into this really well, the whole
Yeah.
conversation. Right around that time, I was about to go on a trip to California with my mother and my sister to visit Paul
Yeah.
Check. So Paul Check is he is you know one of my main teachers, and he's a teacher of teachers. He is very well known in the
Yeah.
fitness industry through the Check Institute. So he teaches
Yeah.
holistic health and fitness, and he trains trainers and he trains chiropractors and other people in that industry. So I was training through him post university. And the reason we were going to see
Yeah.
Paul Check was because my mother had been diagnosed with breast cancer. So this
Yeah.
was after having lost my father to lung cancer a few years earlier.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
um, when and you know, my father, you know, he was a smoker, and you know, he drank, and you know, he didn't eat great. So there were some lifestyle factors there, but there was definitely some emotional trauma associated with that. That at the time we didn't really know.
Yeah.
You know, from a lifetime of things that had happened to him. But anyway, when he was diagnosed, you know, you kind of get scared, and you know, what do you do? And
Yeah.
we went the
Yeah.
conventional route toward with treatment, and met with the
Yeah.
oncologist, did all of those things. Um, anyway, he passed, and it wasn't a pleasant passing. Like lung cancer is not.
It was suffering.
Yes, it wasn't good, and it wasn't. Nothing really positive came out of that treatment path. Let's say, and it ended in like
Understood. Oh, which you're talking about chemotherapy,
chemotherapy,
right?
radiation, all of that stuff, right? And
Wait, hold on 1 second. 1 second before you continue. Let's do some housekeeping. Are you done your drink as yet? No, you're not done. Don't
well, I'm
worry. Don't
thirsty because
rush.
I'm talking a
I'm
lot. It's
done
okay,
mine.
Julia. I came prepared. I have a second one.
No, just hang on, hang on, because I have to get the timer. So just
Okay,
hang
I'm
on,
done
hang on.
now. So 20 minutes from now, we test.
Okay, all right. Hang on, hang on. Where did the timer go? I just had it. It was just here. Gavin, what did you do with the timer? Okay, here it is. Whoop. Okay, so we have our 20 minutes timer,
Yep.
right? Okay, hold on. Let me move this out of the way. All right. It's 20-minute timer. So I'm gonna start it now. So no. After your
I
last
just
drink,
finished
we're gonna
it.
start the 20-minute timer. You
Yep,
just
we're on
finished
to number
it?
2.
Yeah, but you're drinking one right now. So I have to wait until the last
The
drink.
last drink of
So
2.
don't worry. Continue.
We can't test.
Yeah, so listen. Okay, for a real listen how it works. For a real reading, right? You have to wait until 20 minutes after you're done consuming alcohol.
Okay.
Because 20 minutes it takes, right, because it takes 20 minutes for it to spike in your body. So you want to catch your spike going down.
I would have drank water, but now
So
I'm in too deep. I have another one I have to do. Sorry, Julia.
no, okay. Just drink, man. Just drink. It's all right. It's all right.
And I'm an
Just
80
drink.
20 kind.
I had.
I mean,
Hold on. Wait. I had. Okay, so I'm not gonna
okay.
start again. I had one shot. Okay, I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
do
have to have
another
another one
shot.
too. Sorry.
I'm gonna have another. We don't drink alone. We don't
No.
do that. We don't.
I mean,
Right? I tell my friends, like, sometimes I'm Italian, sometimes I'm French, all the time Jamaican. So
it's okay.
we don't drink alone. So okay. So here's another shot for me, for Julia. A little bit spilled, but it's okay.
And I'm an 80-20 kind of guy, right? So some people,
You know, there's a book called 80/20. Just before you go ahead,
what
you know, there's a book
is there?
called 80
Ah, I haven't
20.
heard of that.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you about it. But okay, go ahead. Let me hear about your being 80/20.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think, like, I was taught this, and I think it's absolutely true.
What?
80% of the time, if you're following the rules of health,
Yeah,
Mother Nature, whatever, right? Um,
yeah,
then 20% of the time, your body can absorb the difference. But your body will always tell you too, right? And in the
yeah,
challenge, we talk about setting boundaries for yourself. So what's
yeah,
the 80% is what we are working on. So yeah, getting sufficient sleep, eating healthy, whole
yeah,
foods, balancing out your macronutrients, managing stress, moving regularly, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah,
20% might be having a beer now and then, or I
yeah,
don't know, maybe you like to smoke a cigar, or you stay up too late, or you like to have some dessert or treats. I don't know, whatever it happens to be for you, right? But
yeah.
you got to set those boundaries. So, what are things that you can have 20% of the time, and what are things that should fall into the 0% category?
Right.
So, something we'll talk about too in the challenge, like when working with people on nutrition, part of what we do. So it's really two main things. One is learning how to balance blood sugar through diet, right?
To
So
diet.
balance,
Right.
eating more protein, could be more fiber, like you're talking about. You're
Yeah.
reducing refined carbohydrates. There's eating more fat. There's different strategies there, and it'll vary from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other thing is reducing inflammation. So we do discuss, a lot of people do better not eating gluten or cutting certain things out of their diet.
Yeah.
Um, so
Like
if you
tomatoes.
determine that, yeah, like if you determine that when you eat gluten, you get severely bloated and it causes diarrhea or acid reflux or whatever, that's probably not something you want to have 20% of the time. That's probably in
Right.
the 0% category, right? So your body will kind of tell you whether or not it's worth it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, you
I
gotta
don't really.
you have to be able to listen to your body. Your body
Yeah,
always tells you. And that's what
100%.
I'm trying to get people to really understand, even like upcoming entrepreneurs, because the demands of entrepreneurship, you are going to have to listen to a lot.
Oh yeah,
You're going to have to not only to outside people, you have to listen to yourself, listen to your vibrations, listen to your body. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I remember when I was burning myself at both ends, and it was a really really rough time, and you could see it in my videos. Like you could see it. Well, I can see it. Other people see the videos and they're like, Julia, that's a nice video. You just look like you had on a little bit more weight. But I knew what I was going through at that time, right? And I read something. I tell you, that's why reading is so good. I read something during that period that said there is no cure for tiredness other than sleep. And I said, that's so simple, but it's so true. And I tell you something about me, Gavin. I can deal with a lot. I can deal with hunger. I've been hungry until I'm not hungry anymore. I can deal with stress. I can deal with a lot of things. Sleep deprivation, that's torture to me. And my father said that to me too. He said to me, Julia, when you were, and I don't really want to say too much because I know we're on the net and everything, but he said to me, Julia, when you were a baby, you never cry. You never cry when something hurts you. You never cry when you're hungry. We always used to wonder if you're hungry or something. But the only time you would make a fuss and it's like your whole body chemistry change is when you were tired.
Hmm.
Because he used to travel with me a lot. They used to, I used to be like his handbag, right? So he used to travel with me a lot, and he said that every time when people used to see him coming on the plane with me, they used to like, oh my god, right? But then afterwards, by the end of the plane, everybody's coming up to me, and I'm just like, everybody loves this baby, this quiet, polite baby, right?
Yeah.
So my father said that even ear pressure didn't bother my ears, all of those things.
Huh.
But whenever I was making a fuss, is because I needed to sleep. And he said, you've been like that since you were born. So information was good. I was like, well, thanks. Thanks for telling me. Thanks for letting me know now. Now I'm,
Yeah.
actually figuring out myself. And it's true. Gavin, if I'm sleep deprived, it's a totally different animal. Like it's a totally different animal. My chemistry is off, totally different animal. Like, I'm more on the sunny side up most times if I'm sleep deprived. And that's why I said, no, I'm getting there. I need to sleep because I can't make any decisions when I'm tired. I don't trust myself to make decisions when I'm tired. So I always tell people, just give me some time. I need to sleep. Let me just sleep and think about it. But I know when I'm getting there. But right now, my challenge, Gavin, is not getting there. In other words, not waiting until I get there. So what I have done for the past year and a half is not it's better now. But what I've done is actually say, okay, you need at least 5 hours sleep. So we have the discipline of going to bed by 9:30, 10. Or if I'm up liming with my friends because I haven't had much social exposure, like 11:30, 12. That's it, cut off. You're right, because I get up early, swim, workout, etc. So I actually had to create that discipline, and sometimes they'll be on the live and I'll be on the live and I want to stay and, lie on top because I really don't get to socialize that much other than networking, right? Which is a different type of socialization. Um, but I have to actually say to myself, no, because it's going to build up. You know the week that you have ahead and next week. So you need to get the 5 hours in. So I had to actually build that in. So yeah, I know exactly. Knowing our triggers, especially as entrepreneurs, what um, works for us and what doesn't work for us is a huge thing. Like what you're saying, like if you know that gluten does this to your body. But what I really love, let's just go back to Kinetic Synergy. What I love about your studio is it's true. Everybody feels comfortable there. Like you have different body. You have people there that could bend themselves up in a pretzel. You have people there who, you can see that they're on a journey to getting more healthy, right? And it's such a safe space. Like there is no judgment. So that's why I like, and I was even asking you that before when I first joined. How do we grow as business owners, but keep that magic? And that's the same thing that I have with mine. Like, um, I hear, people say, okay, Julia, we'll buy from you for this much. You can expand it, do that. But the magic that I have right now, like with the techs and with how loyal they are, and also their soft skills, right? I always feel like if we expand too much and like franchise, then we lose that magic that gets us invited places back every year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that the personal touch that we have, that you have too, right? With your yoga instructors, they're all like they're the same vibration again, right? It's just helpful and no judgment and um, you know, just so warm. So that's something that I think about all the time. Like, yes, I do want to expand. Yes, I feel as if I'm near to the place, probably a year or a year and a half, knock on wood, near to the place where I have earned the right to be a bit more away and have more freedom, right? But in order to do that, I have to let up the reins in some way. But I do know that a part of the reins is my heart, like how I treat my workers, how I treat my customers, how I see my people treat each other, and you know what I mean. So that's the thing. So I said a lot, but what are you thinking?
Well, before I want to say one more thing about sleep
Yeah,
before we get into like the studio and
yeah,
your question there. You're 100% right. And the whole philosophy that I was taught can be summed up into it's called the four doctors. So,
yeah,
Paul Chek's model that he teaches, which I teach, is an expansion of the Hippocrates model. So,
yeah.
Hippocrates used the model of the three doctors when working with his patients, which
Yeah.
would be Dr. Diet, Dr. Happy, and
Happy,
Dr. Quiet.
quiet.
And
Yeah,
then Paul Chek added Dr. Movement because in today's world, you can be sedentary and not get enough movement. But
right.
out of those four doctors, the sort of chief physician is Dr. Quiet. So if you're not getting enough sleep, it will negatively impact everything else. It can impact mood and happiness. It can impact exercise and movement. You could be tired and not recover or be at more risk of injury. It can impact diet because when you're tired, you may go towards quick fixes, refined carbohydrates, more caffeine, et cetera, things like that.
Exactly.
Like people can literally lose weight and improve their health simply by getting more sleep.
More
It should
sleep.
not be underestimated. And,
Right.
people may be able to get away with 5 hours of sleep, 6 hours, or whatever. But
Yeah.
usually that just indicates they have very healthy adrenal glands that
Yeah.
can pump out more and more cortisol,
Yeah.
which will inhibit their ability to see the goals that they want to have aesthetically, health wise, performance wise, etc. So even if you feel as though you can operate on less, like
Yeah.
humans should be getting somewhere probably between 7 to 9 hours.
Right.
Females requiring more than males just due to their more delicate biology.
Yeah.
So
I
I
can
would.
do, to be honest, 5 to 6, and I can function. And it depends, because if I'm in a weight training set or weight training session, like what was like we want to do the 6 weeks with you.
Yeah,
If I'm in that weight training, I need 7 hours of sleep.
well,
For
that's a good
some
point too.
reason,
Yeah,
I think it's my muscles healing, right, while I sleep. But usually, and maybe because I go into deep sleep, because I use brain training as well. Like, I'm all about brain training, not only training my body and my emotions through breath work, but I do a lot of brain training. So brain waves I listen to. I go to sleep. I have this beautiful app I've been using for the past 2 3 years. In 3 years, Inner Tune. It's really good, right? So when I go into sleep, I go into deep sleep. Um, do you know, what you said is perfect, because there was actually a type of torture, they call it Chinese torture, where they will actually deprive you of sleep, right? They will
yeah.
actually deprive you of sleep. So, Gavin, let me do some housekeeping. Guys, good afternoon. Thanks for coming, Tuggy Fast. And thank you again, Gaza Ricardo, as well as Kenny Marshall. And we have some people here on Instagram, sorry, on TikTok, Mike and Hua and Sandy, as well as on Instagram, Jerome and Shangels and Crisscross and Killer Bees. Thanks so much for coming. So you guys notice my name change at the bottom. It's still Miss Bluefire. That's my nickname since I was a little girl. Miss Julia, people know me as that on YouTube, and the breathalyzer girl, because I'm tying in with these interviews my own business. Since it is a business matters podcast, we're using a breathalyzer to see how our bodies, or different bodies, respond to alcohol and to the breathalyzers, while exposing you guys to wonderful entrepreneurs and their journey. Okay, Gavin. Sorry, did I cut you? Was there something else that you wanted to say?
No, you didn't cut me off, but I
Yeah.
don't know where we're at. But I'm going to jump back to finishing the story about the
Yes. Yeah.
studio, because I just
Yeah.
remember I was kind of going on a tangent there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I was at a point in my life where my mother lost my father to lung cancer. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. In between, my grandmother had died, who my mother was very close to. The family dog died. There's a lot of trauma there. Um, my mom decided to go the alternate route. She didn't want to go the same way. She wanted to try something different. So Paul Check was the person that we decided to see, because through learning with from him, I had traveled to California a few times for coursework with him, and something he had said was that he will often work with what he referred to as medical rejects, so people who were given up on by
Yeah.
conventional medicine, and he had a very high success rate of helping them. So we went to California to see him. So after meeting my wife, there wasn't an opportunity to go and see her because we already had this trip planned. So there was a lot of conversation, getting to know her over this month before we even ended up meeting. To make a long story short, with my mom, like, this was 15 years ago. She's remarried and happy and healthy and all is good. So there are other options out there as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And I'll say a lot of that is emotional when
Yes.
it comes to cancer.
Yes.
That is the
A
that is
lot of
the
it is emotional.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I finally ended up meeting my wife. She actually was living in Kingston, right near one of my best friend's cottages, which was one of my favorite places in the world to go. I would go there every summer from the time I was like 19 to visit him.
Which
On our
one?
first
Which one?
date,
Where?
it's near. It's in. She was living in Sydenham,
Okay.
Ontario. So it's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Frontenac County. There's a lot of lakes and stuff up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was living actually very close to him, which was odd because he's the only person that I would ever go up there and visit.
Right.
So we went out on our first date, and on our first date, we went and did hot yoga because she was really into yoga.
Yeah.
and she had her studio there, and we went on that. Maybe it was no, sorry, it wasn't our first date. Correction, it was one of our second dates, maybe second or third. But anyway,
Yeah.
my first time in a studio, not doing yoga on video, was with her, and it was a hot studio, and they were hour and a half long classes, and I did that class with her, and considered myself fairly fit, but it was a vinyasa. So if you,
It was a vinyasa.
it
Okay,
was hard,
okay.
right?
That's very challenging, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it
Yeah,
humbled me. But being a hot studio, I sweat profusely, and I didn't know
yeah.
what I was getting into. I probably didn't bring enough water. Anyway, afterward, I had flu-like symptoms. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
shivering and
Yeah.
like,
But
it
hold
was
on, when did
crazy.
you have the flu-like symptoms? Like after when you got home?
After yoga, yes, that night
You
after.
know why that is? Your body was releasing toxins.
Yes,
That's what
yes,
it was. That's what it
yeah.
was. Yeah. Go ahead, I'm
Yeah.
listening.
So
Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, you're 100% right. I found that out later. I don't even know if I
Yeah.
knew at the time what the heck was going on, but
Yeah.
needless to say, like that was sort of the start of the
That's
yoga journey.
funny. That
Yeah,
is
and
that is funny.
yeah, we end up obviously we're married now 14 years, and
But
um, she
yeah,
was she became the journey to start Kinetic Synergy had already started, but then
yeah,
she became a big part of that. The
yeah,
name was something that we kind of decided together,
yeah.
and I loved yoga so much, and loved her so much. Like it seemed obvious that that
It
union
seemed obvious. I love
happened,
that.
right? And she became a yoga. She got certified as a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
She actually did some early teaching when we first opened, but
Right.
the other thing that happened, so we got married. It was a year after we met,
Yeah.
and there was a wedding night conception. So if you can believe it, the one time precaution to the wind. So that wasn't really planned. So when
Right.
I opened Kinetic Synergy, um, a year after that, I guess it
Yeah.
was the month that our son was born.
No
So it
way.
was very stressful. Like having
Oh
a
my God.
child is a lot, and opening a business, it was like two children at
You're
once,
a
right?
lover.
So
You're a lover for punishment, man.
it was there was a rough stretch there.
All right. Go ahead. I'm
Um,
listening. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, it made more sense for her to, from like a safety and security perspective, to go back
Yeah.
to work instead of jumping into this uncertain venture with me.
Yeah.
So it's the dream that hopefully she can come back and start teaching again and leave her 9 to 5 job.
95.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and at first, like, we didn't have that yoga studio the way it is right now. Like, I'm very proud of that studio. I think it's a beautiful studio. There's definitely like
I
a
love
vibe
it.
to that. I did that wood wall that you see in there.
You
That
did
was
that with construction?
yeah. So I
Wow.
collected. It's actually a pallet wall. So I live out in Waynfleet, and there's a Waynfleet box and pallet out here, and I don't know
Yeah.
if they still do it, but they used to like kind of throw out old pallets. And with pallets, like, you can get a mix of like actually really nice hardwoods and different things. So I collected a bunch of nice pallets, broke them down, sanded them, stained them. One of my buddies came in, actually the guy who lived near my wife, and we made that whole wall itself. Like, the whole studio was my design. One of my trainers, who's also a yoga teacher, Lauren, she has a sign business with her husband, so they made that Om sign that we have on the front
That
wall
is
that lights up.
beautiful. It's
Yeah, it's
really
really cool.
beautiful.
Yeah, so it was entirely a labor of love, but it took some time to grow into that. Like, we were originally just we basically have two units there in the plaza, and at first it was just the one unit, and over time the business grew, and it kind of became apparent that our niche was going to be more group training than
Yeah.
anything else. So we needed more space for that. And so we grew into half of the other unit, the big back room behind the studio. And then that went well. And then, my landlord, which I love, great guy, he was like kind of bugging me. The tenant had moved out. He's like, when are you going to take this other unit? You want this other half? And I'm like, oh, fine. Okay, let's try it. It would be great for a yoga studio. So
Yeah.
I'm like, let's do it right, though, because I
Yeah.
like to do things properly. I didn't want to
You can
have
do
like,
things
and there's
properly. Yeah.
nothing wrong with it, but I didn't want to have gym yoga, right? So
Yeah.
it's a different feel when you go into, a gymnasium, or, multi-purpose room to do yoga. I wanted to create that same
You need a
atmosphere and
yoga
feeling.
space for yoga.
Yes,
I
just
don't
like
like look, Gavin. Let me tell you. When I first moved to Welland, I was looking for a yoga studio, right? And hot yoga. Because my hot yoga studio where I was in Hamilton was wonderful. Like, and well, let me not make it any, let me not say too much. But when I saw yours, let's say
Mhm.
that. When I saw yours and I saw that it was an actual space for the hot yoga, remember we started out talking about vibration. So it had that vibration of peace, like nothing else is going on here. There's no weights, there's no, you know what I mean? And you need that, like feeling like, because yoga starts before you actually hit the mat. That's how I see it, right?
Mhm.
So when you go into a place like that where it's just serene and you know that the energy was used, that whole place is just for release and challenge, right? It's a
Mhm.
different vibe than when you go into the other part of your studio, which is where the free weights are, and it's different than the bike. The bike. Every room has a different. Listen, I believe in that. Every room has a different vibration, like different, and it's
Yeah.
just because of what was there before, who was there, and what was
Mhm.
let out there, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciated the fact that this studio was dedicated to yoga. And that is actually why I joined. Now, why I stayed is because of the people. And why I stayed is because of, like, you can feel the heart there at Kinetic Synergy. You can actually feel the heart. And the people, I don't know, I don't know if it's something with having, it's not really a small town, but I've been to other yogas in big cities, and it's
Yeah.
just a very cold, and I just feel like I just want to get in, do my practice, and leave. But with
100%.
your guys, it's like more of an experience, and every yoga teacher, they have their own style and they have their own experience. So,
Yeah.
and they're true to that. And that's what I really, really appreciate about your studio. It's not a script that they're following. It's not
Mhm.
a prescribed thing for everybody. Like, remember when I first came, I had an injury with my back because I had the double joints and I
I
twisted
recall. Yeah.
myself too much, and I have that thing. But it was so good to know that, okay, you know everybody's body is different, so take your time into the twists, you know what I mean? Like, so it was very, that's what I'm saying, it's very non-judgmental, very, it's really great. So that's what I was talking about too with us, right? Where we're talking
Yes.
about with us,
Yeah.
like, how do we keep that magic as we grow our businesses? Because the magic is what works, that brought people to us. I never want to get so big whereas it's just cold hard transactional. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, and I know that's not what shareholders or potential shareholders want to hear, but there's something about a heart, that the heart there, that keeps people loyal and keeps people coming back and keeps people calling you and inviting you to things. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, that's a good
Yeah.
question. And like, there's definitely been intention behind trying to create that environment and atmosphere. And, I don't know if it's something that I've manifested through the people I've hired or something that's been simply manifested for me because of my desire and focus on that being the case. But I will say, like, something that I've learned over the last, 13 years in business is that, at least for me, the people that I really want there as coaches and teachers are the ones who authentically want to help people, because
Yes.
you can't fake that.
You can't fake that. Gavin, thanks for saying that. Thank you. Namaste for saying that. You can't fake that. You can't fake energy. You can't fake intention. You can't fake it. It will come out. And that is why I'm such a fan of questions. I'm such a fan of throwing things out there to see how people respond. Right? Because certain things you can't fake. Anyhow, continue. I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, you're 100% right. And like, I learned that along the way. So that was always like the driving force behind hiring new people. But I think also when you have an intention and focus on something, it'll manifest for you,
That's
right?
right.
So if you're really
That's
clear
right.
about your goal and what you want, and it is what you're meant to be doing, things will just happen to
Things
sort
will
of bring
happen.
all of that together. So I'm not going to say that it's just me making that happen because I'm a great hirer or anything like that. That's not the
Exactly.
case at all. I
Exactly.
think I'm actually not, you know, I
Right.
just trust in that if I, focus on what it is that I want,
Yes.
and focus, the focus there on the business is very like, it's on doing the best we can to help people and
Yes. Yes.
creating the best version of yoga that we can. And like,
Right.
it's not perfect. And there's a long list of things that I want to do, upgrades or new things to buy or things to do there. It's
Yeah.
never ending, but like, it's always working on
It's
improving.
always,
Um,
Gavin,
right?
it's
But
a
we're
life
doing the
mission.
best we can, right, at
Yeah.
any given time. And if you do that, then you will be rewarded. The market will reward you, people reward you, and you will attract the right type of people too. So I think that,
Synchronicity.
yes, it's the law of
Synchronicity.
attraction,
It's the
right?
law of
Too.
attraction, and you know what? It's not only the law of attraction. I'm really enjoying this conversation. We're not getting to 70% of the questions, but I don't mind. I don't care because this
I
conversation
told you I
is
talk a lot. You don't need the
who
question.
cares?
Especially when we start drinking, we better not get
We
on
go
to drink
with the
number
flow.
two.
We go with the flow.
Yeah.
No, it's the law. Yes. Listen, synchronicity is a thing, and that's why when I feel like something is off or a person is off, I take my time and just remove myself because
Yeah.
I'm all about alignment, and it affects everything else in your life. And that's what I was telling. I tell people this all the time. They don't believe me, but I don't know if they believe me or maybe they just don't think about it. But it's the truth. Peace and prosperity goes together. I
Mm-hmm.
keep telling them that. Like that's why I don't feed into drama. I don't feed into emotional dysregulation. And sometimes people who are emotionally dysregulated or their life isn't together, they try to emotionally dysregulate you, right?
Yeah.
As soon as I see that, could be a friend, could be anything, I realize what it is. I mean, I definitely won't say anything, but I know more than I actually say. Let's just put it
Mm-hmm.
that way. But you
Yeah.
will see the results in my actions, right?
Yeah.
And me actually withdrawing because I realize that that type of vibration, that's why you are where you are, right? And that's okay. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's why we meet people. But
Yeah.
that thing there, when it comes down to alignment, I'm all about alignment. And it's not only the law of attraction. There was a book that that I was reading this week, and I want to read it over. It's so good. I was looking for it on Audible because I drive a lot, so I wanted to listen to it. It's the law of assumption.
Hmm.
So it's basically not only the attraction, but assuming the state that you will be when you want things to work out, and the universe actually mirrors that, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
basically the idea is, and it makes sense because about we can talk about quantum timelines and everything like that, but the idea is the world or your universe, your world reflects what's on the inside and reflects who you are. In other words, you don't get what you want, but you get who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I always say, some doors don't open for you until you become that person to actually open that door. Just like the Excalibur, like a
Yeah.
lot of those it's fairy tale stories, they actually have deeper meanings. So Excalibur, you actually had to be that person to pull the sword out of the stone. So you find people who have these opportunities and they miss it, or they feel like they've missed it, or they feel like, or you wonder why they're still in the same place. It's because of the fact that they, for where they are, their level of vibrating, right, and the level of being is not the person that could actually walk through that door. So that door will not open. That book
Yeah.
is a wonderful book. So I'm going to send you that book too.
Yeah. Send it to me. That sounds great.
And
I
also
love that.
80/20. So let's not forget, let's mark it. 80/20 rule, I'm gonna send that to you. And the law of
Mm-hmm.
assumption, I'm gonna send that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, send it to me. And I love that. And that's kind of like I came to that realization at some point because I think one of your questions might be related to like stress, or you're talking about how do you maintain. Well, you're about to ask there, how do you maintain this atmosphere and things that you've created in this business if you're looking to like ramp it up and move on to something else? Is that kind of what you were getting at there? With one, how do you keep
Um,
that atmosphere and that vision? Because you're talking about like
yeah,
maybe
like
you mentioned franchising and stuff like that,
how do
and
we keep the magic? How do we keep the magic while we grow and I don't want to say become more, just grow, because as you grow, your tentacles can't reach that far.
so
You
yeah,
when
it could
you
be. No, totally. So it
right.
could be. I guess it could be expanding your current business, or like my mind went to like franchising because that's something I've thought about. Maybe not
Franchise, that's
franchising,
what I'm
but
gonna do.
Yeah, I kind of thought you're kind of going that way, or it
Yeah,
could be like
franchising.
opening another
That's the next thing.
location, right, or something like
Yeah,
that. But then I started thinking about like um, the thing that's always stopped me from doing that
yeah,
was the stress associated with running a business, right? So like I've had people ask me, at various times, like, "Oh, you can open another location," or things like that. I'm like, "There's not a chance. Like, I don't want this stress times two. Like, that's completely off my radar." But over time, because it's been like,
yeah,
13 years in business now, I've come to realize just what you said there about the book, the assumptions book, is that
yeah.
even though you don't realize it at the time, a lot of those stresses and things that you need to go to are changing you and preparing you to be the person you need to be
Yes,
and learn the things you need to be to get to that ultimate
yes,
destination. So you may not
yes,
be able to see it at the time, but if you're
yes,
clearly focused on your goal and what it is that you
yes.
want, you have to have faith that um, you will get there regardless of what happens to come up along the way, because being an entrepreneur is very challenging. It
Oh
is
my
not
God.
easy. And being in a service industry where you're
Yes.
not selling somebody a quick fix, like I'm literally selling people work.
Work,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Come
Exactly.
and pay me,
And
and then you'll work
with
more.
mine, I'm selling them also a change in behavior, right? So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
with your
adding
business
an
too. Yeah.
extra step, right? So
Yep.
it's like, oh my goodness, you said it so perfectly. Like honestly, that's exactly what it is, Gavin. I can't even say anything else. Continue. I'm listening to you. Yeah,
Yeah, no. So I was gonna say like I that
yeah,
the whole the book about assumptions and stuff like that. Like I love that. Like
yeah,
you don't know how your story will unfold, but if you can make whatever your vision is truly a
yeah.
part of you and focus absolutely on that,
On that.
things will happen along the way,
Yeah,
some that you perceive as negative and some
yeah,
that you perceive as positive.
yeah.
But I guarantee in hindsight, once you get to your destination, you look back and
It is.
everything necessary to get you to that point.
Gavin, that's what I was gonna say. Everything that I went through, like even and listen, from being a competitive swimmer.
You're a competitive
So,
swimmer?
yeah. Since I
Oh,
was a
that's
little
cool.
girl.
I
Well,
didn't know
I
that.
was. The last time I swam competitively was my freshman year at Howard University, right? And then I had to stop because my mother and my father, they were like, "You're not going to the Olympics, and your grades are starting to slip, so you need to." So I
Yeah.
said, "You know what? You're right. I need to quit this because those people. I mean, swimming 3 times a day,
It has to be your
and
life if you're
it has to be your life. And really and truly, I was really good at what I was doing. I really love swimming, and I was good at it because I swam for Blue Seals, Y Speedo, my high school, St. Jude's High. Went to Howard. I swam for the first year. Then it's of course a bigger pool with bigger fish, and
yeah.
I love swimming. Like that's my I belong to the sea. I even say like when I
Nice.
died, I need to be burnt. Half of my ashes go to the sea. The other half, whoever loves me at the time, they can keep it. But um, wait, where was I? What was I talking? What were we talking about?
Not knowing the path that
Yeah.
will take
So
you to the destination.
everything that I've been through actually has helped me, and it's actually helping me. Like I did. I used to do like a lot of beauty queen stuff and theater and TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All of that helped me with my discipline too. My grandfather, he went to World War II. He was the biggest disciplinarian in our family, and I was his pet too. I was a pet to my grandfather as well as to my dad, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, the discipline that they taught me, it's like second nature for me now. Like make sure my shoes are clean the next day, iron everything, press everything, iron. Like certain things that I went through, especially certain lessons that I went through. Say, my mom thought like, the modeling beauty queen was like kind of like, waste of time, but it was good, when it come on to etiquette because we had to do finishing schools and stuff like that. Okay, fine. A lot of those things actually help me and help me to recognize certain things in other people. Like you can recognize jealousy, you can recognize when someone is a fake friend, you can
Hmm.
recognize when someone just wants something else out of you, right? You can see.
Yeah.
So a lot of the lessons that I learned in my teens, going through certain processes, I'm actually seeing those same people again in a different body. So it
Yeah.
adds to your wisdom. But the thing is, with my life, I realize I've lived different lifetimes in the one life. And every lifetime and I'm grateful for this. It's not me, but I'm grateful for the fact that I had the presence of mind to actually take the lessons. So now, when I see certain things and I don't say it, Gavin, that's one thing about me. I won't say something unless I'm on the brink of actually addressing it, right? But I will notice things and I'll keep quiet. So a lot of times I know more than I let on, right? And that's a secret. Well, people will now second guess about a lot of stuff, but whatever. That's
Mhm.
real because I'll know something and not say it. You understand? Because I know it for myself. Why should I give you the chance to gaslight me when I actually can see and I actually have evidence that this is what
Yeah.
it is, right? So so connecting the dots. Even in Jamaica, I lost some friends to inebriated driving. A couple of them weren't even in the car that was had the inebriated driver. The pain and the anguish from that, and losing my brother in 2016, the pain and the anguish from that actually opened up my heart more. And there's another book. I'm a big nerd. I can read a lot.
Yeah, me
There's
too.
another book called Broken Open. It's called Broken Open. Gavin, you're gonna love that book. Basically, it's like about, I don't remember the name of the author right now, but it described what I went through. In other words, it was such dark periods that actually opened me up to other people. And then I read another book a couple weeks ago that was saying hardships that happen to people, it either breaks away their ego or it strengthens it. So it depends on the person. So it depends. Like some people, hardships will happen to them and they become more tighter, more obstinate, more hating life, more hating people, more, resistant to people, more not trusting. But then there's some people when they're in that hot water or when they go through those experiences, it actually opens them up to loving people more, to actually understanding the human condition more, to actually being more empathetic. And in that book, it was talking about the difference between an egg and coffee, I think. So it was saying like in hot water, an egg will become harder. It's the same hot water, but in hot water, coffee will just dissipate and become soft, right?
Mhm.
Or something like it was a different element, something. But basically,
Yeah.
it's the same hot water, same boiling water, but
Yeah.
it's two different
Different
elements. One
reaction.
becomes
Yeah.
harder and one assimilates and
Yeah.
becomes softer. So right, so that's what that book was saying, and it
Yeah.
was a true story. This woman who she lost her son and her husband, and she was basically broken open. So it was just, it's
Hmm.
so much the entrepreneur journey too, because a lot of times we go through things where it's just God, like we're going, people don't understand what it is. You're wearing all these different hats and you want to do things right and you want to see what you can keep doing to be sustainable, but yet still you want to try to add other things.
Hmm.
And then it's very involving. And unless you have a partner, and that's why I said bless your wife, because unless you have a partner that understands what it is that you actually do go through, right? And
Hmm.
actually wants to be a partner with you, like actually really, really do want to see your well-being and see you succeed, then it's really hard. And I think for me, that's where I am, because I know, and even reading, and not only that, but watching other people, and remember watching and not saying anything. I know that your life partner or the person that you choose is the most important decision, one of the most important decisions you make for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Gavin, I know friends who are married after Howard, married, and they're miserable. I mean, painstaking misery. I have other friends who they love their children. They really love their children, but they admit that if they had it to do over, they'd rather self-actualize. I have friends who, like they're always in some kind of stress because they feel like as if their life isn't their own. And it's just because of the fact that they probably do not have a supportive partner, or there's lack of understanding there, but this that they reserve themselves to say, what, this is just the life. And I'm thinking, but you're in your 40s, like we're still young. You know what I mean? Like there should be some joy there, right? And then you find that
100%. Yeah.
in people that try to make life difficult for other people because they're really not happy, and maybe they're jealous of the freedom that you have, or the fact that you, but then they don't see the hard parts where there are holidays and there's always a sacrifice, so you're alone or something like that, right? Because you don't want to
Yeah.
settle for something that's going to actually make your existence or make your life worse. And that's what I always say to somebody, if I'm interested in somebody and, like, say I'm checking them out, I always say, listen, you're not competing against other guys, you're competing against my peace of mind, because I have worked so hard to create this life and to have this peace that I love so much, that this God-given peace, that I am not willing to drink poison because I'm thirsty then. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd rather be by myself and wait and see if there's somebody who's going to add to that peace, or at least not destroy that peace. So who you choose is very, very important. And especially as an entrepreneur, we know these things because it's already hard. The road is already hard. We don't really need someone who's going to make it harder or make us emotionally dysregulate, right?
100%. And like I think yeah, it is really important to choose the right partner, but I think also when it comes to that, in certain instances, yeah, like definitely the union was probably not the correct one, but I
Right,
think people also, you know go into relationships potentially having the expectation that it's going to be something like that's presented to you from Hollywood or in a fairy tale story.
right,
But just like
right.
entrepreneurship, it's going to be hard and
It's
it's
going to be
not
hard.
going to be perfect, and it may not be exactly the way that you envisioned.
Right,
But sticking with it and working through those hard times will ultimately get you what you want, which is a long lasting loving relationship where you grow together. But I think
right,
the fact that we have such a high divorce rate, are people simply picking the wrong person, or
right,
are they giving up when it gets difficult because they think it should just be easy? And the
right,
same thing can be
right.
applied to entrepreneurship. Like, and I was ignorant of this in starting a business, like being young and optimistic and like, oh, it's going to be easy, like I've got this, like confident,
Just like the
etc.
live stream today when you're trying to get on.
Well, I knew it was going to be a problem. That's why I said we should meet earlier, and you agreed, but then I was late. It's a win.
Okay, continue, continue, continue,
Yeah,
continue. I'm listening,
no.
I'm listening. Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned when yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So anyway, like, yeah, when I was younger, like I didn't know how hard it was going to be, right? And
Yeah,
like there were times, like multiple times, where I cried alone
yeah.
over the stress of that business,
Oh God,
and
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
and times where like I just didn't even know how I was going to solve certain problems that were there.
yeah.
But like I said, you focus on your ultimate goal,
Ultimate
and
goal.
things will kind of manifest themselves and help you along the way. And over time, stressful things still come up, challenges still come up, but it's
Yeah,
like, okay, well, I've overcome so much at this point in scenarios where like I had no idea what the solution was going to be, and then it happened.
yeah.
You just have to have a little bit of faith that if you put in the work and focus on what you want, then you will get there. Things will come along, the right people will come along,
Right,
the right circumstances will come along to help you along that journey. And the same thing kind of applies to relationships. Like, if you want to have a successful relationship, like you want to have a successful business, you have to have faith in whatever that is and not just give
right,
up on it. Like as an entrepreneur, like, oh, well, I ran into a problem. Oh, well,
right, right, right,
you're not
right,
going to throw away your business,
right.
especially when it usually comes with a lot of investment and time. The
Exactly,
same thing applies
exactly.
to a marriage or relationship. Why would you give up on that just because it
You
becomes difficult?
exactly,
There's
exactly.
things to learn from that. And I think people give up far too early in relationships, which is why we have a 50% divorce rate. And I think, there's a lot to be said around like, because I think, you know, you have a higher percent chance of getting divorced a second time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
there
do.
must be something to do there with a person's, willingness to accept, whatever
This is not
they
working. Let me go.
non-perfection or
Yeah,
challenges are, right?
yeah.
Like perfect isn't a thing. Perfect is
It's
an
not a
opinion.
thing.
Like there's
And but that's the thing though. But the same thing though. Like Gavin, like all my relationships has been long term. at least 5 years, right? I've
Yeah,
had two engagements, one in college and one, recently. But
I'm done. If there's
but
time, I should start.
okay, good. Oh, you're done? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So
Are you
let's start
done?
the timer. 20 minutes. Let's start the timer.
Okay.
So isn't this cute? Don't
That
you like
is
that?
that is cute. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just yeah. I
Isn't
love
it?
I
It's 20
love
minutes.
I love sand. Is it? It's a sand timer,
It's
right?
a sun timer. Look, and
Yeah, those are
look,
cool.
like it got the, and that's what I always say. Like, we don't know how much time we have. We're like always right here. We
Yeah,
don't know how much
yeah.
time was left in the sunglass. Like,
I
anytime
love
or
sunglasses.
right. I love sunglasses. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
great way to
different
start
times.
my
I have
day.
20 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes, different ones.
Cool.
Okay, so it's going now. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah. So, but it's good to be keen and recognize the signs, though. And to
Yeah.
me, it's easier to break off an engagement than it is a marriage. So you say yes to the engagement, right? Like, say you've been with the person a long time. Sometimes you find that there's a switch. Like, after you get engaged, the person less effort, or they have a different vision of your life. What
Hmm.
I've realized is the thing that they say they love about you, after a while, if it's the wrong person, becomes kind of an annoyance. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that you're giving and loving and kind to people, they say, "Oh, I love that about you." But then when they feel like, we're engaged now, then it's like all your love and your kindness needs to only belong to me, or it needs to be given um where I approve, type of thing. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Well,
it's good to see those signs and know the type of life that you want to live, what you want to live, and be able to step away. Like, don't get married because people are telling you it's the right time, or because the person looks good on paper, or because the person can give you all of these things. Like, I fought so hard for my peace, Gavin.
hmm
That's why I'm such a warrior when it comes to it, right? Like, I'm like, honestly, like, family, friends, anything. Like, if it's, and I'm not saying disturb my peace as in annoyances, that's fine. But when something is actually threatening the way you are with their vibration, like, like creating a different world for you to live in. I don't know how to
hmm
explain it, but you can feel it. You can feel these things if you get to know yourself more.
yeah.
Um, it's good to be able to, to say, okay, this is not conducive to the life that I'm trying to live. And I mean, it's not something complicated, but it's true. Like, people give up early and they give up easily, right? And they feel like as soon as there's a problem, and it's all about communication. You have to have someone who appreciates the way you communicate, appreciates honesty, and also can deal with your communication, right? Like,
Mhm.
you communicate soft, a sweet way, because we're different, men and women. I feel like we're different. This is my point of view, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like if people care, you'll see the difference in their action. It's not just mouth thing, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what it is. I know our conversation went totally
Oh no, well no, but it is important, and like
important, yeah.
I think yeah, you need to share. There needs to be some shared values with a person. I think the
Right.
expectation that maybe they're all 100% shared isn't probably realistic, but also like it takes time to get to know a person too, right?
Yeah.
Like I think relationships can be a very complicated thing, but you're right. Like you need to have when it comes to like entrepreneurship, you need to have somebody who um, is willing to support you in that and is on the same page and understands what is involved there too.
Right.
Like being an entrepreneur is different than a 9 to 5. Like there's pros and cons to both of those.
Both of them.
And like
Exactly.
going into business for yourself is definitely not all positive. Like
Right.
I don't know about your business, but mine never ends. Like it is
Mine never
24
ends,
7.
Gavin. Never ends.
365. Like I never stop thinking about it. I'm never kind of on call. Like I've created the type of business where I do have flexibility where I don't have to be in the business all the time, but I'm
Right.
always in the business energetically and mentally. And like
Energetically.
and if there are times when I like do kind of cut myself off, like you're saying, like keeping that sort of um energy and atmosphere and everything going, like I feel like things do start to not fall
Frail.
apart, but like,
Yes,
and
yes,
maybe
yes.
I'm
I
like
know
a
exactly what you mean.
control
You
freak.
have to
It
be
might be
involved.
me.
It's
I don't
like
know.
you have to like feel into it. You actually have to feel into it and be involved in it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it's a part of your vision too. It's a part. It's it. You have to be involved in it, and that is the thing that I'm still trying to figure out how to stay involved
yeah,
as much as that with the heart while we expand, and maybe that is how we let go of the reins, a bit more, where we have to just accept that, okay, you know what, the company might change, it might lose a feel, but it's still providing benefits to the public, it's still providing a service to the public. We can try to keep as much of the values as we can, and
mhm,
handpick the managers, handpick the people who are in charge.
yeah,
But we have to understand that sometimes we have to let go of the reins, and it's always a sacrifice. There's always a sacrifice. I was telling my friend this today. There's always a
yeah,
sacrifice for everything that you want. So if we want the freedom, we're going to have to sacrifice some of that control, and
yep.
maybe what it ends up looking like in the end. So that's something there. Okay, so you answered a lot of the questions just by
Yeah,
talking.
no, and that's a challenging thing. Like,
Yeah,
and that's kind of like, I think about that a lot. Like, how can I,
yeah,
work smarter instead of harder? And, how do you
yeah.
expand a business? And like, um, it's funny. So like, do you use AI much?
Yeah, I not
Yeah.
much, but I'm learning.
Yeah. Anybody, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like, it's like electricity or the internet. Like whether
Yeah,
you want it or not, it's coming.
it's
So
coming.
I've been using it more, and for all sorts of things.
What are you
Like,
using it for? Tell me, tell me, tell me,
oh,
tell me.
well, like here I'm gonna turn my computer. Here's
Oh
one
yeah,
thing.
tell me.
I'm rehabilitating some plants.
What?
So there's one thing. They were from the gym. They weren't doing well. I
Yeah.
repotted everything, and like I'm like, these guys are rough. I'm gonna see if I can even them out. So like, there's one thing, right?
Yeah,
But work related, it could be in
yeah,
like crafting marketing,
yeah,
or like checking invoices, or
yeah.
like just about anything that you can think of. It can help you with. But a friend of mine who I was visiting, actually, we went to his cottage, the guy up near Kingston, where I met my wife.
Yeah.
Um, I was talking to him about it, and he uses it a lot too. And he he's like, he's big into personas, and you can use AI to almost um,
Your target
like learn.
market?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. I
And
use
he's
it
like,
for that.
yeah, and he's like, why don't we ask the AI that you use? And I typically use Chat GPT. He uses Gemini, so he asked Gemini like to create a persona about him, basically. And it was funny because Gemini refused to do it. It's like, basically go see a counselor if you want this, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll ask the same thing to Chat GPT, and then it gave me this big breakdown of like who it thinks that I am, and I'm like, okay, well, that's all great, but like, then I asked it, where do you think that I can improve? And so I ask it like a lot of business related things. But I mean, anything I think could be helpful. I use it almost like an assistant, right? And one of
Yeah,
the things that it said was, it trying not to do everything, getting better at delegating,
yeah,
and creating systems and things like that. And this is something that I was already aware of, but it was really interesting to have, AI tell me the same thing. And I think that that is a really important part of, creating a business that can scale, or simply a business that is truly a business. Because like, what is a business, right? A business should be truly, I think, something that you could walk away from. If you own a business, you should be able to leave that for a year, come back, and it's operating as good, if not better. If
right.
it's not, then you own a job, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I want to own a business. I'm not quite there yet. It's something that I strive to be able to do. And
yeah,
it sounds like maybe you're in a similar situation. But when you
yeah.
own the business, that's when you can, I think, scale it up, or have a little bit more freedom from that,
Have a more
and not have
freedom.
it be the thing that dominates you 24/7, or whatever it is that
Right.
you know.
But in order to do that, what I've learned too, this year, I started learning it last year, but I really, really got it cemented this year. everything is systems, Gavin. And that's why I love to read so
Yeah.
much, because you learn, even if you read some sci-fi stuff or stuff about like the planets, you learn that everything is system. So we must always look at nature, right?
Mhm.
Because nature, that and that's a spiritual thing for me. Like I always go back, and when I'm in my quiet time, when I'm meditating, like I'm going through whatever problems I might have emotionally or mentally, and I always go back to nature, because nature to me is the guide, right?
Yeah.
So systems run everything, the solar system, even death and life, everything. So, and we sometimes we are in systems and we don't even realize it. Say we get up in the morning, let's just say a typical mother gets up in the morning, she has the coffee going, she has that child up, go clean your shoes, go do this, she's doing all of these things, get the car seat, this is her system, right, for everything to work, for the family to work.
Yeah.
Just by watching people, after reading books and applying it across, just because I do need my thinking time, like in the evenings I have to have my thinking time.
Yeah.
So it's like I apply certain principles that I've learned, or just think about across certain sectors to see how true they hold up, right? Because I really do love thinking and fleshing things out, right?
Yeah.
Um, everything is systems. So, and I found that when the most successful years, my systems were working seamlessly, right?
Hmm.
Um, when I have any kind of issues or problems is when I have not communicated my systems properly to the people who are working with me, right? um, Systems are everything because it makes it rote, right? It makes it, it's kind of like having a discipline, whereas you don't think about it, it just handles itself. But
Yeah.
the not problem, but the challenge is a lot of times there are all these new systems. You want to try it. How does it work well seamlessly with your other systems? And sometimes
Yeah.
your other systems are outdated because, as you say now, something's new is here, AI
Hmm.
and all of that stuff, right? And we have different challenges. So now we have to incorporate new systems, right? And
Yeah.
understanding ourselves, and then not only understand ourselves, but sell it to the people that are actually helping us, right? So I
Yeah.
am a big believer in systems, but systems only work if you have the discipline to actually work them and to
Yeah.
actually stick to them and to keep them. So I'm a big proponent of that, of systems. That's everything, like getting ready, making sure the night before you have certain things, etc.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this now. Challenges and growth, right?
Hmm.
You answered most of the things about yoga meeting business. Every journey has obstacles. Oops, 1 second. Uh-oh, I missed it. 1 second. Every journey has obstacles. What's one major challenge you faced while building Kinetic Synergy, and how did you overcome it?
Hmm. One major challenge. Okay, well, like one that's kind of interesting because you talked about uh, potentially doing the 6 week challenge.
Yeah,
So, like in terms of there's a lot of overhead when you're renting a place that
yeah,
it can be kind of hard to cover that every month. Like you know, you're not guaranteed to necessarily even make money every month. I think there's a stat around this from the CFIB related to small businesses in Canada. I don't think that most actually technically turn a profit.
yeah.
So there was a time early on where like I was saying, like I was super stressed. I actually didn't know how I was going to pay my rent the following month because I
Mm,
was that deep in the account into overdraft and
mm,
everything else. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And that was when I don't remember exactly how, if I just happened to get the idea to do this, how it came to me. It must have just come to me to start doing challenges. And the
yeah.
first challenge that I did, and I know that a lot of gyms do that now, but like no, there was nobody who was like, I didn't go and like, you can get coaching for businesses, and I've done all those things. Nobody came and provided that solution to me. It just sort of
Mhm.
happened. So I started doing a 21-day challenge, and that generated enough revenue that I was able to get through that following month. And that program was a holistic program, a lot like our 6 week challenge. It was basically all of the best information that I had learned over my, entire life up to that point through all of the courses and certifications I was getting. It was kind of presented in a nice, neat little package for people over 21 days. We would often do we did a sugar detox with that particular challenge. It
Mm.
worked really well, and kind of solved that problem for me at that time. Now, like, did I come up with that solution? I mean, I guess I did, but I feel like it was almost given to me somehow, right? Like I
Right.
said, I was really focused on my ultimate goal, and I find that if I ever run into those types of circumstances, like you're saying, like at night, you
Yeah.
need your time to think and stuff. Like if you really get yourself in the right space, and think about, um, it's all about framing it's framing your thoughts, right? It's focusing on what it is that you want and
Yeah.
not the problem. And if you do that, your mind keeps trying to find the solution for you, even
Yeah.
subconsciously as you're sleeping. So
Yeah.
eventually it's going to figure that out for you. So that ended up happening, and we started doing this 21-day challenge, and it was great and it worked well for a lot of years. And eventually I ended up running into the same problem, because then you scale up, like, oh, now we're doing really well. Instead of
Yeah.
just enjoying this, let's go bigger. Let's grow
Yeah.
into the other half of this unit, like I said. And then, okay, we're doing well now. Let's go bigger. Let's get the entire second unit. And every time you do that, you increase overhead. You have to hire new people, and it creates other
Yeah.
challenges. You have to have more clients, more members, more services. It's a bigger nut to cover, right?
Yeah.
And so I ran into the problem again, and it wasn't as bad, but it's like, oh God, like I'm having a hard time. Because you can run into the issue with business too, where you grow too quickly,
Yeah.
right? And I've been seeing, apparently, it's happened to a lot of colleges and universities in
Yeah.
Ontario, because they had a huge influx of new students, right? And so instead of, like, I don't know what the option is, reinvesting. They did kind of reinvest. A lot of them expanded, and I've been hearing rumors that, like, colleges are going to have to start cutting back. They grew
Yeah.
too quickly, and now changes have happened with immigration, and
Yeah. Yeah.
many are coming, and that happens with businesses too, right? And you can grow too. So I ran into that scenario again, and then that was when we started doing the 6-week challenge, and kind of like morphed into that. In that scenario, I had help from a company. It was one of my trainers. Who referred to me to this company. They were called Gym Builder at the time, and they did all the marketing for you, and kind of guaranteed X number of people to come in for your program. And I knew very little about marketing at that point, and really up to that point, like, you know, I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't even really doing a lot of internet marketing. I think maybe I had, like, I don't, maybe some paper. I was really fortunate. I think it was a lot of word of mouth from original clients, and
Yeah.
things like that. Like, I didn't have to put the effort into that. But as competition grows in the area, you have to put more time into that.
You have to put
So
more time into it. Yeah.
yeah, so we kind of morphed the 21-day challenge into the 6-week challenge, which was a program that we could run. We could scale up, and it was more of the, like, 80/20. Um, you know, this is a challenge, yes, but the surprise there is, like, this is actually something you're supposed to do for the rest of your life. Whereas the
Yeah.
thing we were doing before was, it included a lot of the same concepts, but it wasn't something you're not going to probably do a sugar detox for the rest of your life. Like, let's be realistic, right? Like, it's a very restrictive way of eating, and most people are not going to do that forever. So although it produced great results, it was almost too hard for people. So we kind of morphed into that. So the biggest challenges there were, that jumped to mind. Like I said, they were financial challenges, just trying to, manage the level of overhead that,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't know coming into that. And, other challenges too, big ones were, like, managing trainers and
Yeah.
people, like I was
People.
saying before. I
Yeah.
actually, like you said, you're a nerd and you like to read books, and I'm the same way. And you know, one of the big things that helped me along the way, like, I ran into these challenges, just like people come to me for coaching on improving their health and fitness and achieving those, either health, fitness, or aesthetic goals. I went to people for help with business. So I have had business coaching,
Yeah.
from different people over the last 13 years. I recognize that was a weak point in me, and in the area
Yeah.
that I need to learn. Like, I took, you're talking about my degree. I studied phys ed and kinesiology at Brock, and had my
Right.
honor 4-year undergrad doing that. It was entirely about like being a personal trainer and, learning about nutrition and learning about, physiology and anatomy and all those things. It was nothing about business. I didn't take any
Right, right.
business whatsoever. So like I had to learn about that. So part of overcoming, those other challenges related to the business for me was going out and getting help. Just like people
Yeah.
come, like, I don't know what to do. So,
That's why I love the incubators so much. Like I've been a part of different incubators, depending on, and also the boards of trades. Like
yeah.
but they become less effective over time as you go. The boards of trades, I feel, depending on where you are. But the incubators are really good because they meet you where you are. Like the businesses,
Mhm.
like they have Hall Tech, and you have what's that other one? Um, I forget the name, but whatever. They meet you where you are in your business. They actually do an in-depth scan of where you are, and you have the classes pertaining to that. And some of the classes I took were way advanced for me at the
Yeah.
time, but I still remember the lessons, so I'm applying them now, right? And
Yeah.
it's really really good. You have to find, again, it's alignment and finding the things that you need along the journey. And in order to
100%.
do that, we have to stay humble and open.
Definitely.
And
And one of the things I learned along the way, so like
yeah,
doing different business coaching, I did it, I ran into a problem. I did, some coaching with somebody and it was super helpful and I learned some things. And then, that was great. That time ended. I came into another problem, a different one. So I'm going to do more coaching with this other person. And like, once you start doing that, like as a business, like you also get hit with business to business marketing. Right.
yes,
And so that would happen, naturally. I would get cold calls or things would show up on social media or emails or whatever, offering me different things. It got to a point where I'd done it like a handful of times. It got to a point where I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not. I'm sure there's more to learn because the more I learn in
yeah.
life, the more I know I don't know.
Whoever that
But
you
I
don't
got,
know anything, yeah,
yeah, but I had gotten to a point, with business, just like with nutrition and fitness and all that. Like, I know enough at this point. The only way I'm going to succeed from here is if I put in the work. You know,
yeah,
at some point you come to the realization no one is coming to save
to
you.
help you.
No
Not
one is
nobody's coming
coming
to
to
help
help
you.
you.
Yeah,
The responsibility is yours. You have the
yeah.
tools. You have to find a way out of this.
You
And
have
it will
to.
come from hard work and focus on what is you need to do. And
Yeah,
that realization came to me at some point. And also having faith in yourself, like I said,
right.
and in your vision and that things will work out. So a combination of, that intention and that focus and that law of attraction, but also with hard work and also having the education and the knowledge that you need to get there was ultimately what led to my success. And like really over the last, like, you know, we had finally gotten to a good point just before COVID, and we won't even get to COVID, but obviously that was really bad for
Oh
extended
my
business.
God.
And it was kind of a restart, but like
Yeah,
restarting my business after COVID, I was able to, get to the point saying like, I mean, really, like we'd have to start from when like all restrictions were fully ended. But let's say like
yeah.
it took me 2 years to get to where it took me 7 years or
7
whatever,
years.
right?
Yeah,
To get to
yeah,
prior, just to throw some numbers out there, because
yeah.
I had learned all of those things and knew what it would take to kind of recreate
Understood.
that happen. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, no, that's really, yeah, that's really, really insightful. That's really insightful. And yeah, it's definitely the journey. It's definitely the journey. All right.
How are we doing on the timer?
We're good.
We're getting
We're
close
gonna
to
do it
needing the
now.
pee break.
It's been over 20 years, but let's talk about
Okay.
this too.
Yeah.
What daily habits and routines keep you grounded and motivated? Like for me, waking up, I write down and I say things that I'm grateful for. I exercise, do yoga, do the swimming. Um, I always have some silence in the night. If I'm not able to be on a live to line with some people who would have the same culture as me, Jamaican people, then usually I come in, I read, I silence myself, I burn my incense, and I go to sleep in peace. I make sure that I go to sleep in peace. In other words, I don't harbor any kind of I usually don't I don't harbor any kind of conflict inside of me. Like as soon as I feel it, like I deal with it. But I make sure that no one is able to pull me in any kind of argument or anything destructive after 4 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm dealing with all the fires and etc. But I that's my boundary. So like if anybody is calling me with any problems, like for people from my family or anything, or some problem after 4, I just say, you know what? No, I will deal with that tomorrow. So that's emotional hygiene that I have for myself. So these things help me to keep grounded and keep clear for
Mhm.
what I'm going to deal with the next time. So you tell us what daily habits or routines keep you grounded and motivated as an entrepreneur, and then we are going to use our fertilizer because it's been 25 minutes actually.
Yeah, I'm excited to use that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your business, by the way. I think it's a great
Thank
idea.
you. Oh, thank you very much. And it helps
Yeah,
people. It helps me. So
absolutely. I
yeah.
practice what I preach. So like, it really starts the night before, like you were talking about. It starts with getting a good night's sleep. So
Yeah.
I do try to make sure that I always get enough sleep, that I wake, you know, feeling as rested as I need to be, right, in
Yeah.
order to function throughout the day. Um, I always feel like I could get more sleep, but you know where that cutoff is, right? Like you're saying, like
Yeah.
when you've had enough. So that's always priority number one. Um, I always like I eat well. I know we're having a beer right now, but like nutrition is like
Yeah.
very important to me. I'm not perfect. I'll have pizza. I'll have like, you know, I'll have dessert. I'll go to a party and like somebody will make cake or something, and it's something I would never eat, but I'll eat it to be polite,
Of course.
you
Yeah.
know, and because I know like, and it really, like I said, it depends on the thing. I know it's not going to end up
It's just the 20%.
hurting.
You did
Yeah,
you
it's a
take care of the
20%.
80%. So yeah.
Yeah, if it's something that I know I really can't have, and there are a few things on the list, right? Then obviously I won't have that. But so
Yeah.
I'm not perfect in that means, but certainly I'm 80%, probably a lot higher when it comes to nutrition. So that's something that I do on a regular basis to support my well-being. Um,
Right.
movement again, super important. So like, um, I move a lot every day, and
Yeah.
I'm somebody who like will average over 10,000 steps a day. If anything, sometimes I find I need to dial it back because like as I'm creeping toward 44, um, there's a reason pro athletes retire at 40-ish. Like old injuries and stuff start to catch up to you. Recovery time takes longer, those sort of things, right? So
Yeah.
I move a lot, and I try to make sure that I, take care of my body. I will say right now, I'm guilty of the like, you know, the cobbler who has holes in his shoes sort of
Yeah.
scenario.
The
Like,
cobbler, the
I'm
cobbler
not
has those issues. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm not training as much as I would like to. But
Yeah.
I live on, you're talking about nature. Like I live on a rural property, and springtime requires a lot of work, right? So it's like
Yeah.
almost like another full-time job, doing like manual labor and stuff out here. So I'm always lifting heavy things and doing that sort of thing. But like, whether it's training regularly or getting movement, doing like manual labor at home or whatever, like that is a really important part of my day. Like I have to be moving,
Mhm.
and doing things like yoga. I feel better, and doing things like working out and doing strength training regularly, I feel better. It definitely has a positive impact on my mental health.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like daily routines, like, you know, I've done all sorts of things over the years. Like I love there's a book called The Morning Miracle by Hal
Yeah.
Elrond.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
he's got his savers, like, right? His like things that you do first thing in the morning. It's
First
like,
thing.
silence or meditation, affirmations, visualizations,
Yeah.
exercise or movement, and reading.
And
So
reading.
I'm always doing like every day. I don't do so much reading anymore. Like you mentioned audiobooks, because it's
Yeah.
30 minutes for me to get to the studio, right? So,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll do that trip twice a day. Oh, sometimes 3 times. I try to keep it to once, but like
Yeah.
that could be 2 or 3 hours of driving back and forth. So
Yeah.
I'll listen to podcasts or YouTube chats or
Yeah.
anything where I think I can get some valuable information, books, audiobooks, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I will try to do that. And then like, in the morning, like, it's pretty standard for my wife and I to like sit out first thing in the morning and have a coffee together, basically right here where I'm sitting. She sits over
That's
there
good.
and I sit
That's
here,
good. Yeah.
depending on the time of the year, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of like take some time to like,
Regroup and
yeah,
align.
kind of like focus and start our day. Maybe I'll start answering emails or texts or things like that. Um, But yeah, like that's kind of like, my day. And I've done at times when I feel like I have a problem and I need extra focus, I will spend the time doing the affirmations and visualizations and write them down. And like I've been doing, summer just started, so I did some spring cleaning here at the house and cleaned
Yeah.
out the basement, and had a yard sale and took some things to Goodwill and then some things to the dump. And I found some journals, right?
Yeah.
And I'm flipping through them, and they're like, maybe a full year of me literally doing that, like writing out
Yeah.
affirmations and
Yeah.
visualizations and goals and things like that every morning and doing those things. I do think that there's a lot of
There's
value
a
in
lot
that.
to it. Gavin,
Definitely.
you know what happened to me the other day? Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna use the breathalyzer on this because we've been here
Oh,
for
sure. Yeah.
okay, but you know what happened to me the other day? The other day, like I was, bringing out spring stuff because spring stuff, different colors for the house and stuff.
Yeah.
I found a letter I wrote to myself 2 years
Mm.
ago, and it was just I had to like I was like if I could hug myself I would, and I actually did. But I mean,
Well,
like the letter that I wrote to myself, and I was just like, I love you, girl. Like like it was so encouraging, and it was also apologizing for allowing certain things to happen back in and saying thank you right to myself about getting us
yeah.
through that period, and
Yeah.
actually wrote it out to myself and was saying Julia, thank you so much for standing up for this and keeping your order with this, and helping us through this hard time. And I remember when I wrote that letter, and I was crying writing it to myself because I actually came over what seemed like a mountain. And then when I found that letter the other day, I was just like, oh my goodness, wow! Like it we've been through, and it's good to actually see yourself when you become the observer. It's okay for you to see yourself as another person when you actually master the art of becoming taking yourself out of the body, out of the situation, and actually becoming the observer of situations, right? And what you're in,
Yeah.
right? So that self regulation,
Actualization
right?
and yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, and that actually gave me so much more strength with what I'm going forward with, and writing letters to yourself and finding it afterwards, very therapeutic, really
Yeah.
therapeutic.
Yeah. No, and
So
you're, that type of scenario has happened too. And like,
yeah,
I almost, view myself, the younger version of myself, almost like a different person, you know,
different person. Yeah.
because like you can evolve so much in life that like, sometimes I wonder like what would that interaction be like, the younger version of me with like the current version of me?
Yeah.
You
And you know what? There is actually a meditation for that too. And there's a meditation for you visiting the older self, like
mm,
the Gavin that you want to see in 10
that's the
years.
one I really want to talk to.
That's that
Yeah.
one. And I've done that meditation. It was a guided hypnosis, but it was a guided meditation. I've done that where I've seen Julia, right, in 10 years, the one who I want, who I envision, if everything goes well, to be. And
Yeah.
she's actually telling me, like, it's okay and thank you, and we'll get there, right? So,
Yeah.
but we have to keep on this certain path. So I actually have her encourage me sometimes, my future self. So this is such a great and delicious conversation because I don't really get to have these type of conversations with a lot, because a lot of people are not on the same frequency
Yeah.
frequency as we are when it comes on to spirituality and actually insight and actually taking charge of this being, this person, and how we show up in this world. All right,
Yeah.
let's use a breathalyzer. So you got to push it in because remember, there's a foil there. Like, remember, look,
Yep.
see the foil? I've showed people the foil that's there. You have to break that foil, right? So you push it
Okay.
in,
Got it.
right? Blow from either end, blow for 10 seconds, and then blow for another 10 seconds. Blow. That's 10 seconds. You feel it's getting hot already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, blow another 10 seconds. Okay, mine is already changing, guys. Like, I don't know if you can see. Like, hold on, let me put it up to the camera. Mine is already changing to a light pink. Can you see? No, you can't. Let me move back a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see. You guys. Oh, yours is already changing. Yours is like a. Yeah, I need to do that too. Yours is like a point
Where's
zero
the
three or
glare?
0.04.
Yeah, I'll turn the. Yeah, mine's
Yeah,
I would say almost
yeah. I'm already at a point
well,
zero 0.03. But we have
maybe
to wait for.
yeah, over 0.2.
Right. So we gotta wait 4 minutes for the last changes, but it's gonna do. So let's just answer two more questions. Um, Gavin, the entrepreneurs, other people who are here would like to know. I think Instagram probably shut off already, which is okay. Um, how do you deal with self-doubt, especially in an industry that requires you to be mentally present for others?
Oh, see that's a really hard one.
That's not a
How do I deal with self-doubt,
yeah, if you have it.
especially in an industry that requires me to be present for others?
Yeah,
Well, like I think like the self-doubt thing
right.
for me has been time has helped me get over that, right?
Yeah,
Like conquering problems
yeah.
gives you confidence that you can conquer the next one, right?
Yes.
So but
Yes.
even then you can still have doubts about it, but like having to say to yourself like, look, like I got through this before, and like we were talking about, you don't know what experience you're
Yeah.
going to have and how that will be a necessary part of your journey. But like the self-doubt thing is like, yeah, it's believing in yourself because you and whatever, everybody's had a challenge that they've overcome, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that happens to be, you overcame it. And even if it's not directly related to the business or the current problem, you've overcome something to get to this point, right? So
Yeah.
build on whatever that is.
So
But also,
remembering that you've been through, and that's the same thing with me too, because especially with people that try to come up against me in some way, like I'm thinking, listen, I've dealt with bigger and harder than you. Like you are not going to, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. People think that they can bully you because of the fact that you're light and you're happy and you have a good disposition. And that's the
mhm,
mistake that people always make. They always think that the people who are very peaceful are not skilled at war, and we really are. We just don't like it. We just don't. We just rather be in peace, right? And
yeah,
because we hold our peace so precious, we will go to war over our peace of mind. So I definitely understand what you're saying. Like you remember the mountains that you've climbed before. So this small mountain is it's food for me. Yeah,
or yeah, or
you
whatever
have
it
to learn
happens
that
to
the
be.
hard way.
And like, you know, that could be that can be a tough thing in life too when you're experiencing that, or have being a father and having a child. Like you want to make life as easy for them as possible, and you don't want
Yeah,
them to have the struggles that you had. You want them to have a better life or whatever. But like they have to struggle. Life is about struggle. Life is about challenge. Life is about
challenge
growth, right? So you
and
have to go
growth.
through those things, and they will, in my opinion, they will find you no matter what. So if you have a life that is too easy, then you will create problems where problems aren't there.
We're
So you
exactly,
have something to solve, right? So
exactly
it's you're better off creating challenges for yourself, right?
right,
Maybe it's a fitness challenge, or maybe it's
right.
to start a new business, or maybe or to learn a new hobby or learn a new thing, whatever that is. You have to challenge yourself in life so that you can grow. And when you do that, it builds confidence.
It
It creates
builds
confidence in
confidence.
whatever the next challenge is. So you have to do that, right? That's a part of life. And and
That's a
and if
part
you
of
do
life.
that over time, yeah, things will get better. But the other part of that is having faith. Like I said,
Yeah,
believing that God or the universe or Mother Nature, whatever it is that you believe in, will help you along that journey. And if you have that clear focus on what it is that you want, because far too often people focus on what they don't want.
what they
They
don't
keep thinking about
exactly.
what they
You
don't
have to
want.
focus on what you want
Yes,
because
right.
that is going to draw it to you. You focus on what you don't want, it's going to create that as well because that's what attention goes. That's where the energy is going to expand, right?
Yeah.
But what you just said reminds me of another book that I was reading about when was it? February? Yeah, about the bird. And the quote in the book, I don't remember the name of the book, but basically it was saying that the birds, if you see a bird on a tree limb, the faith the bird has is not in the tree limb, but in its wings to fly. So
Hmm.
you see him on this little tree limb and it's like bouncing and there's wind blowing and you're thinking that bird is crazy. No, the bird doesn't have faith in the tree limb not breaking. The bird actually has faith that if the tree limb does break, I can fly away. So that's the
Yeah.
same thing that you were talking about. And that's why I love remembering those things. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, tell
And
me
then the
this. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I was gonna say the other part was like being present for others, and like
Yeah.
that's a challenging thing, especially in a service-based industry. Like
Yeah.
people have the expectation that you're always going to be like giving, smiling, happy,
Yeah.
energetic, and giving to them. And that can definitely be challenging at times, but that ties into the whole managing yourself and taking care of yourself and doing all the things that you need to do in order to be there and be present for people. Like, especially in my industry, you have to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
But like also you're human. You don't have to be perfect all the time. Like, you know, and I think people understand that too.
Yeah.
Um, you know, you have to take time to recharge the batteries, and sometimes you need to break and you need to take that break so that you can come back, and that can be hard as an entrepreneur. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, to give, you can't give 100% all the time. You have to
Can.
step away a little bit and
Yeah.
um, do what you need to do to cultivate that energy so that you can then give it to others. You can't give what you don't
Yeah,
have.
and that's why boundaries are so important. And that's why I'm so strict with my boundaries too. Like because of the fact that too, I'm very warm hearted and warm to people. My boundaries are very ice cold and very strict.
Hmm.
So whenever I find that, someone is a negative energy, right? I'll pull myself away. Whenever I find that, something is not good for me energetically, and that's it's like I recognize certain patterns. I'll move myself away because I know everything that I'm doing takes this much, and that is not helping me. It's actually a distraction. And what I find is the universe will always find ways to test you, to see if you
Hmm.
really did learn your lesson, and to see if you really are ready for that new level, and to
Yeah.
see if you can really be trusted with power. That's something that I actually learned. So now I'm I actually see things as lessons, and I see things as okay, I've been through this, I've met this person before, right? Let's see, it's a test basically. So I see things as tests. And no, what you're saying is 100% true, but we have to pay attention to our lives. Because what I find too is life and the universe will whisper, they'll whisper at first, and then it gets louder, then it gets louder. Then you have a problem. So if you
Yeah.
don't pay attention, you know what I mean? If you don't
Yeah.
nip certain things in the bud right away,
Yeah.
that's how you create problems for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
One question before we check our breathalyzer. What impact do you hope Kinetic Synergy leaves on our community beyond just a place to take yoga class?
I hope that it can give, you know, individuals and then the community as a whole the same gift that I got from fitness and all these things, which is ultimately the ability to have more control over your life, right?
Mhm.
Like, um, learning that, like, you know, if you do these things, you have more energy and your mood is better and, you
Yeah.
know, your life is improved. So you're happier and, you know, you can go out and start doing the things that bring you joy in life. And in doing that, can also spread that to others. I mean, ultimately, I want to have a positive impact on my community and, um, you know, share what all the benefits that I've got from
Mhm.
fitness and yoga and healthy living and all those things with other people so that they can hopefully spread that to others.
Right.
Or
Right.
empower people.
Right. And you see what you said really made a difference too to even some of the people in our chat. And Sophia Jacobs says that systems help to create space for great performance. And that's why I love these talks, because we have so many other people that want to start businesses and may want to start a health business, and they're actually getting from your mind what you went through, right? And it's actually connecting dots for them. So that's why these are important. To be honest, Gavin, when I started this channel, it was for the Jamaican community on YouTube that I know a lot of people that wanted to start businesses. But the
Yeah.
most of the people that we're getting is the people from Canada on TikTok and on from USA. Like they
Yeah.
actually love it. But we have a few of the Jamaicans that actually say, you know what, no, we're not just here for entertainment. We actually do want to self-actualize. And so
Yeah.
you find some of them come into the chat and but like people really do love the exposure. So I really do appreciate you and your time. And I hear everything that you're saying about being able to give back to yourself and give yourself grace as well. That's what I find. We have to be able to give ourselves grace. Like I'm quick to apologize, right? And I'm quick to see where my mistake is, where where I was able to learn or not do something, right? And people appreciate that. So it's easier for them to give me grace when things happen because they know that I take accountability, for what happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's look right now. 6 minutes has passed. Let's look right now at where we are. I don't know if you. Let me see if you guys
I
can
think
see. Yeah, I'm at a 0.03. Like for that. That's really a 0.03. I don't know if you can see. Tell me if you can see mine. Can you see mine, Gavin?
it's a little bit blurry. Pull back a
Blurry.
little.
Okay. When I move back, can you see better?
That's better. Maybe put your hand in front of it because it's focusing on your face.
Is that better now?
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see yours. You have a lot more muscles than me because you had two standard drinks and I had two standard drinks. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're like a point. What are you? 0.02 now? 0.01.
I'm about a point zero two, maybe 0.01. But you know what's
Yeah,
funny? You say this. I actually tested this out last night.
you
So
did.
we got back from the cottage, and my wife and
Yeah,
I, decided to have a drink. And I'm like, oh, let's
yeah,
try, these things from Julia.
yeah, yeah,
And the same thing kind of happened with her, where like she had one
yeah,
drink, and
yeah,
I don't know what she got to, like point
yeah,
five or something like that.
yeah.
To the point she's like, I'm not
Yeah.
having another one. So yeah,
You
people tolerate
muscles, your
alcohol just
height,
in different rates.
muscles, your height,
Yeah,
or sleeping, how close she is to her menstruation, all of that matters. The mood,
interesting.
everything. That's
I
why I'm
didn't
such
know
an
that.
advocate of people testing themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, because like, yeah, oh, I'm good with two drinks. Like, well, that maybe you're not, right? And
Right.
like maybe you are, and another person. Well, then I must be good with two drinks too. But like, it's very
Right.
individual. Like a lot of things, I
It's
think.
and
You
it's
know.
a lot of different things. So that's why I'm all about testing. Well, Gav, thank you so much for being here. We could talk forever
I
because it
know,
was such
right?
a great
It's been a great
conversation.
conversation. Thank you for
But
having me.
I'm actually going out of town tonight. I'm going to Brockville, so it's always constant moving. But I'll be back on my mat on Monday.
Awesome. Glad
I'll
to
be back
hear.
on my mat on Monday.
Well,
Go
I'll be
ahead, tell
coaching
me what.
Monday night, so maybe I'll see you
Yeah.
if you venture over
Okay.
to the gym side.
Okay. Let me ask you one last question. You know what? We talked about the breathalyzers enough and stuff like that. Let me ask you anything at all that you want to leave with us about Kinetic Synergy and tell people how to get in touch with you, how to come to the studio, anything new that's coming up right now. Tell us about what do you want to leave with us right now?
Well, one more thing as it pertains to entrepreneurs, and you touched on this a little bit just before we got into the breathalyzer stuff. I think another really important thing too, like as you come into challenges in life and just in general, it's always important to have gratitude, right? Like we have
Yes.
goals, and like goals related to business. Like yeah, I opened the business because I wanted to help people, but obviously, you go into business too because you want to make more money and have more success. You know, in whatever way that is, material success.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to measure that, but you know, in a society where we seem to be always driving towards more and more, I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of value in taking some time to appreciate what it is that you have and have gratitude for what you have. And I think
Yeah.
in doing that, you will also manifest more of the things that you want.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, in terms of kinetic synergy, like, well, we have a 6 week challenge starting Monday. We run those regularly. There's another one in the
Yeah.
fall.
I'm
Those
not
are
doing
really
this
like,
one, but the next one I'll do. The next one I'll
yeah,
do.
yeah, like
Yeah.
that's like our flagship program, and I know a lot of gyms will run those programs.
Yeah.
because it is a really good way to get new people to come in
To
and
get
try
new
out your
people in.
facility.
Yeah.
I think because you have a definitive start and end date, so it's easier mentally to jump into something like that when you know it's only going to be for 6 weeks or whatever the length of time is. But I stand by that program. We do a really good job with it, and ultimately, our goal there is to give you all the tools that you need to succeed. Obviously, we would love to impress you and have you fall in love with us in the studio and have you stick around after, but it's not necessary. Like when you're done the program, if you follow the program, you can take everything that you've learned and do that anywhere. And that's a really important thing that I want to teach people is like health isn't something that comes in a pill or comes in a box, or it is something that you have the ability to achieve regardless of where you are, what you're doing. I think the modern world can make that more challenging, right? We can get into like, having to try to get organic food and being mindful of like, all toxins and environmental things and stuff like that.
Pesticides, everything.
That's a whole nother conversation, right? But like,
yeah,
but you have a lot of power to create health for yourself. And we want to give you all of the tools that we can in order to make that happen. So like, I stand by that program. And so, yeah, that's coming up. And like, I would say, look, if you're interested, jump on the newsletter. You can go to the website. It is going to have some retooling happening this summer.
Nice.
I was doing a twice weekly newsletter. I'm cutting that back to once a week. Then with a once a month sort of information news to let you know what's going on at the gym. One of the things that we're hoping to do more of, and we've had some success with this up to this point, is doing more workshops and things that like give people a little bit more and teach them beyond what they're getting from the gym. So we have had success with Qigong. So we have a Qigong master.
Oh, you have Qigong?
Yep. So it's in a workshop format. So it's the last Sunday of every month. You can come and learn from a Qigong master.
You need to put a poster up though in the gym
I know it's on my list. There is one in the yoga studio, but I'm going to have there's some renos coming to the yoga studio too this summer. But there'll be a bulletin board where you can see that. But the website will also have a page with upcoming events. So we've had that. We did a sound bath. I love
that. I love the sound bath. Oh my God.
It was really nice. Yeah. My cousin came in to do that. Actually, she does that with a friend of hers. It was awesome. And then we also had a breathwork shop. That was really well received. That was the first time I actually participated in that one. It was the first time I had done it. And that was profound. I
love it. I love breathwork. I love it. But
it was really cool.
but I'm telling you, the sound bath, do that more.
We plan on having them back in the fall time. So I'm going to line up some people for the fall. There's another person I'm meeting with who does like, I think it would be great. She does like therapeutic art. So I'm hoping to meet with her this week and see if that's something that we can offer there too. So I'm looking to give people an opportunity to try different things that are cohesive with our philosophy and mission and the energy of the facility. To kind of build on those things. So I would say, if you find this interesting and you might want to, join any of those, jump on the newsletter. I won't spam you.
But I'm just going to focus first on starting my practice on Monday, my yoga practice with you guys. I've been swimming a lot, which has been helping me with my back, right?
Great activity.
I can't stay out of water too long. Like I have to move things around swimming. But I do want to put on more muscle. Like I'm at a good weight right now, but I do want more muscle. One trainer was telling me to take testosterone. I was like, I don't want to take testosterone. I don't take any kind of hormones. I don't mess with anything like that. Like, my body with anything weird like that. I don't take anything like that. But another friend of mine, actually Merkaba, he's actually on Instagram. He said to me, Julia, take creatine. Creatine would be great with your protein, because I take my protein shakes, right? I naturally fast because I don't eat breakfast in the morning. Like I can't eat early in the morning. The earliest I'll eat is 12:31, right? So I have my protein shake and then I'll go from there. But he said to me, creatine is actually good for building the muscle and not, getting hair where places that you don't want to get hair. Like
your friend is right. So two things. Yes, creatine is one of the most heavily studied sports supplements, I think, out there. Like professors were talking to me about that when I was going to Brock in 2004, 2005. Right. There's a lot of benefits just beyond strength, yes, it will help with maintenance and gaining of muscle mass even without exercise.
Yeah.
And it's really good as you get older for cognitive function. There's a lot of research on that. So actually, my
Mm.
wife and I take that regularly. She's noticed a difference in taking it. The other
Yeah.
thing too is protein. So most people, you can take the average person and increase the protein in their diet, and they will put on muscle without exercise, which shows you most people actually undereat protein,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
really interesting. So yeah, I would say ensure that you're getting enough of that. And you
Yeah.
know what, when it comes, if you need more muscle mass, really like 1 day a week of doing a properly designed program that
Yeah.
involves weight training, you don't necessarily need to be at the gym every day. If you're active outside of that,
Yeah.
and doing those other things, getting enough sleep, like we talked about, yeah, it's something you can easily
Yeah.
accomplish.
Okay. Well, Gavin, thank you so much for your time. It was
My
wonderful. It
pleasure.
was really great learning more about you and exposing you to a lot of the entrepreneurs that or want to be entrepreneurs that want to start health and fitness and we'll do this again another time. I'm sure because we didn't get to a lot
Anytime you
of
let me know.
but
But question for you: so where do I get these if I?
just talk to me and I'll
Okay,
and I'll get them for you.
because we do a couple parties every year. We do
Yeah,
a
don't
barbecue
worry,
this
I
summer,
got
and
you.
we'll have a
And
Christmas
I'll give
party.
you the good bulk
This would be
price.
good at the Christmas party because I like to bring in wine for
Yeah,
members, like 80/20, but these would be nice to have on hand
they're
for sure.
actually a big hit at Christmas parties, weddings. Sometimes they don't want us to actually be there, like so they will want it the actual, beside every plate setting, etc. Right?
Yep.
Golfing, and we also can like change the branding for you. We can put it in
Oh,
your
really? That's
brand
cool.
if you want. Yeah. So don't worry, I'll take care of you like you have taken care of me.
Oh, awesome.
So
Well,
thanks
thank you.
so much, Gavin, and namaste. We don't have any time for
Namaste.
people to come up and ask questions, but I will be back on my mat on Monday. So namaste. And thank you, Gavin.
Namaste.
Thank you.